But resetting Ghana goes beyond just the numbers. It involves resetting our values, our expectations, and the social contract that exists between leaders and citizens. Leadership must be accountable. Corruption is a cancer that erodes the very foundation of our nation. Every cedi that is stolen from the public purse represents a classroom that is robbed of textbooks. It represents a hospital that will go without medicines. It represents a road that will be left uncompleted. And it represents a young graduate that will be denied opportunity. Under my leadership, we're not just fighting corruption with words alone. We're strengthening institutions, protecting anti-corruption agencies from political interference, and ensuring that no individual, regardless of their status or party, is above the law. But government cannot win this battle alone. We must foster a national culture of integrity, where honesty is valued and public service is regarded as a sacred duty.
Well, that's the President, John Dramani Mahama, there yesterday during the 69th Independence Day celebrations. He's called on Ghanaians to place the nation above the political, ethnic, and personal interests as a country 69 years after independence. The question we're asking this morning, with what we're confronted with now, 69 years after independence as a country, where are we and where do we intend to go with what the president has set the pace in terms of the mindset change and then also the change towards our development agenda? Right now, we are confronted with a situation that even dovetails into the talk about our independence and where we are now. Because as a result of wars that happen thousands of miles away, there are supply disruptions and ripple effect on our economies. But then, years ago, there were some solutions that were put in place but were effectively run down by subsequent governments. Imagine if the Tamale refinery was and had been functioning and refining as its mandate was expected or is. And then we're hit with this Iran, US, Israel war. Maybe we could have a cushioning. We're talking about cocoa prices falling on the world market. The value addition conversation comes up again about the current state of affairs of the cocoa processing company built years ago. And then now with gold, because Dubai is actually one of two countries that buys almost, in fact, over 90% of our gold that we export. Dubai and India. They are the two countries that buy over 90% of the gold that is traded from Ghana. And because of the UAE and Dubai's own impact as a result of this Iran, Israel, US war, there's also an impact on the gold that is being bought from Ghana. So Gold Board is thinking about other ways of addressing this problem. So this independent conversation has a direct link to the current state of affairs and what we're faced with as a country. So that's how we're going to approach this conversation this morning, making sense of where we are and where we intend to go. But the unfortunate development, as we got to know yesterday, is that two Ghanaian soldiers serving on the United Nations peacekeeping mission in southern Lebanon have been critically injured after their base came under missile attack amid escalating hostilities between the Israeli forces and Hezbollah. Now, we would get some more details as per the information that the Ghanaian forces gave us from that statement that was issued yesterday as well, and recommendations as to how the way forward should look like. We'll have a conversation this morning here on the key point. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Share your thoughts, your views, your comments and opinions, and read it out to you and to the rest of the world. Thinking about corruption, and then also the president, what you just heard the president, John Dramani Mahama, talk about the resetting of values, expectations, and then also even the social contract between those who are elected and those who are electing. That's you and I. Oral comes to mind. What's the state of affairs of the Operation Recover or Loot? We'll have a conversation this morning. As always, you're an integral part of it. We have so many ways to share your thoughts. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279. This is The Key Point. We're live as well on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the city of London, and Voice of London Television as well. My name is Alfred Okanse. Welcome. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. My guest will join me in the studio. The conversation starts right now. Remember, right after the quick break, we'll do the poll tracker after this. Stay with us. We will shortly.
It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in the Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Comfort Noche Source Site, Lake Bosomtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history at Singmanso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast, then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana Cedi single, 5,500 Ghana Cedi shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cedis couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it. It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in the Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Komfonochi Source Site, Lake Bosumtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history. Asing Manso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast. Then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana City single, 5,500 Ghana City shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cities couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it.
Hi guys.
Really? Where? So
Perfect match extra.
Hi guys. We are getting married.
really? Where? So
Perfect match extra season 3 reunion.
it's Bognaya.
You are going to catch us live at the reunion.
March 7th, 2026. Red carpet kicks off at 6 p.m. Streaming live on Adisa Plus. Then at 9 p.m. brace yourself for the drama, the confrontations, and the real story live on TV3 and Adisa Plus.
Catch us live for the final showdown.
Venue Studio B. One night, no filters, all the answers.
So guys,
Do not miss our wedding.
Perfect Match Extra is sponsored by Enapa Foods. Heaven in
Smile, maybe even tear up a little, and celebrate the power of support. If you want to see your favorite contestant make it to the next stage, kindly dial *713*13# or download the MG Reality app to vote.
Talented Kids Season 17 shows Sunday at 5 p.m. on TV3. Powered by Indo.
It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in the Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Komfonochi Source Site, Lake Bosumtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history. Asing Manso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast. Then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana City single, 5,500 Ghana City shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cities couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it.
Hi guys. We are getting married.
Really? Where? So
Perfect match extra season 3 reunion.
it's Bognaya.
You are going to catch us live at the reunion.
March 7th, 2026. Red carpet kicks off at 6 p.m. Streaming live on Adisa Plus. Then at 9 p.m. brace yourself for the drama, the confrontations, and the real story live on TV3 and Adisa Plus.
Catch us live for the final showdown.
Venue Studio B. One night, no filters, all the answers.
So guys,
Do not miss our wedding.
Perfect Match Extra is sponsored.
City Mall turns into the home of the food of the gods, Gobe Festival. Look, plenty food festivals do, but none be like Gobe Fest because Gobe no be just food. It's a movement, a cult following, real lovers from every walk of life, corporate workers, bosses, celebs, campus crew, everybody pulling up for one mission, proper Gobe. And it's not just one pot, it's the best Gobe vendors from the capital and beyond. 7 back-to-back heat, hot, loaded and unforgettable. But that's not all. There will be non-stop music, games, mad fun, and one big explosion of joy. So gather your people, come hungry, come loud. Gobe Festival, Saturday, March 28th, Legon City Mall, 10 a.m. You don't just eat it, you experience it.
Let's go.
Accra, are you ready? It's time for yet another Gobe Festival. On Saturday, March 28th, the Legon City Mall turns into the home of the food of the gods, Gobe Festival. Look, plenty food festivals do, but none be like Gobe Fest because Gobe no be just food. It's a movement, a cult following, real lovers from every walk of life, corporate workers, bosses, celebs, campus crew, everybody pulling up for one mission, proper Gobe. And it's not just one pot, it's the best Gobe vendors from the capital and beyond. 7 back-to-back heat, hot, loaded and unforgettable. But that's not all. There will be non-stop music, games, mad fun and one big explosion of joy. So gather your people, come hungry, come loud. Gobe Festival, Saturday, March 28th, Legon City Mall, 10 a.m. You don't just eat it, you experience it.
If you're looking to listen to thought-provoking conversations,
To avoid any further brouhaha, all this English to just say, I will do nothing.
I will ghost him. So like what you be like that?
I'm suddenly not feeling too well.
Answers to life's big questions.
Has someone asked you to do kapoha before?
I don't drink.
You go to church and pray for miracles. But that's somebody's money.
The owner is going to come.
For a show filled with excitement, laughter, and unforgettable moments.
Me, I live life full of drama to the left, to the right. If you see me, look this side,
to games that keep you laughing.
What in the name of Peppa Pig is going on here?
Just as tonight is the place to be, where the fun never stops.
Just as tonight. Now. By Enapa Foods. Heaven insecticide spray.
Hi guys, we are getting married.
Really? Where?
Perfect Match Extra Season 3 Reunion.
It's Bognaya.
You are going to catch us live at the reunion.
March 7th, 2026. Red Carpet kicks off at 6 p.m. Streaming live on Adisa Plus. Then at 9 p.m. Brace yourself for the drama, the confrontations, and the real story live on TV3 and Adisa Plus.
Catch us live for the final showdown.
Venue, Studio B. One night, no filters, all the answers.
So guys,
do not miss our wedding.
Perfect Match Extra is sponsored.
Reporting from the Takrade Market Circle, from the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital,
from the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani,
from the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News. Leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online, and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market.
Welcome back to the Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. We're all across the world on 3news.com, on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the City of London, and the Voice of London Television as well. Before we get into the poll tracker this morning, there was some unfortunate news yesterday, but the Ghana Armed Forces gave us some details, and through a statement they issued. In fact, this development has been condemned widely by countries and by UNIFIL itself, and then also other allied institutions. The Ghana Armed Forces have informed us that as a fallout from the ongoing IDF and Hezbollah exchanges in southern Lebanon, the Ghanaian battalion headquartered that's the headquarters in the United States, interim force, that's UNIFIL, Lebanon came under 2 missile attacks between 17:45, that's 5:45, and then 5:52 p.m. yesterday. 2 soldiers are critically injured, while 1 other has been traumatized. Additionally, the officers' mess facility also got hit and has been burnt down completely. The injured are receiving treatment at the level 1 medical bunker and are currently stable, while arrangements are underway for their evacuation to the UNIFIL headquarters referral hospital. And there's that assurance from the Ghana Armed Forces, as a matter of fact, to the public to remain calm amidst the fragile situation, as troops are currently safe in underground bunkers. So that is the assurance from the Ghana Armed Forces, that the troops are currently safe in the underground bunkers, and then also what is being done now to evacuate. What you're seeing on the screen right now are videos that have been made public, and in fact showing the extent of the damage and the impact on the that's the Ghanaian base there in Lebanon. Well, we're monitoring this quite closely as well, so that whatever information that the Ghana Armed Forces has, they give to us, the general public. But this is what we do know.
Everything is gone.
Mommy! What the hell?
Me down around swim, sir. Me down around swim. It's over. Don't worry, don't worry.
How are you? Oh no.
Mommy!
Window!
Charlie. Hey, sir. My everything inside though.
Your what?
My everything is gone. Hey, Charlie. Fuck.
Well, quite a worrying development, to say the least. But the Israeli ambassador to Ghana has been speaking about this development yesterday evening, and this is the the updates by the Israeli ambassador's position, reflecting what the position of Israel is on this latest attack on the Ghanaian troops there in Lebanon. Take a look.
This area between the border and the Litani River is where you see UNIFIL forces. Among the 5 regiments of UNIFIL, there is also a Ghanaian regiment. You have around 900 soldiers in South Lebanon. You are taking the central part of the front. We have actually asked, as the campaign in South Lebanon started, we asked all UNIFIL units. Their commands is somewhere here in Ras Nakura. It doesn't make any difference. We ask them to go back to the bases, stop patrolling in order again to mitigate the risk, and hopefully this request will be answered positively by UNIFIL headquarters.
So that's the Israeli ambassador to Ghana giving us details of what's happened there right now. But here's what the cost of the war against Iran per day is. This is the United States Defense giving some details, which CSIS has also done a breakdown on. $890 million per day. That is how much this war is costing the United States. $30 million, that is the cost of air operations per day. And you have $50 million, that's the cost of the naval operations per day. And then you have $1.6 million, that's the cost of the ground operations per day. And then $1.5 billion, that's, this figure is for the period so far between last Saturday, exactly a week ago, when we were on the show, we got the news of that breaking news of that attack, the first attack on the Iranian soil. Between Saturday and Thursday, last Saturday and Thursday, this period, the cost of the bombs, missiles, artillery in the first 100 hours, $1.5 billion. And the cost of interceptor units, so all the interceptions you've seen, the Iranian missiles and drones, over $1.7 billion. That's what we do know. That has been published by CSIS, referencing the U.S. Defense own details that they have given of this. But for us here, what's really of concern to us is what I showed you earlier about what the Ghanaian soldiers who are on peacekeeping have had to face as a result of this, but the assurances of the Ghanaian forces that they are safe. They are being evacuated now. In fact, they are taking shelter in a bunker. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner. He is the leader of the Kumi Petroleum demonstration. Also joining us in the studio right now. Counsel, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Okansi. Good morning, morning. It's good to be back here once again. The Ghana's #1 talk show, unparalleled, uncontested, of course, and all the accolades, of course, and due to the participation and the ownership of the Ghanaian people. Indeed. You know, we have no program if we don't have an audience. There's the audience that make the program what it is, and we are grateful. As always, your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, and phone calls are welcome, because as we sit in the saddle, I mean, definitely we don't know it all, so we'll continue to also depend on you for your insights. Thank you. So once again, we want to thank our people who stood up when we were going through a very bad bout of misgovernance. So for Kufu Yasantua, thank you. You stood up. You didn't say that because Kufu-Addo is your relation and he once appointed you as Chief Justice, you would keep quiet, as a lot of people like to do in this our country. They see no evil, they hear no evil, right? Domahini Osi Adeyo Ajimambedu II, thank you. Domahini, more fire. We haven't heard from you recently. You have to speak up. Otherwise, people will say then you were being one-sided. You see, I continue to sit here and I'm still speaking so that the neutrality will be seen. And we need a lot. We all can't have this country divided into just NDC and MPP. No, we need people in the middle. And that's how come we will be able to build a stronger nation. Then, Gamanche. Gamanche, thank you for standing up when people didn't want to talk about the Sicily Adapa matter, which I understand was a lot more than even the OSP revealed. I'm hoping that the further investigations will show the more money that had the chance to go elsewhere. In time, you will hear about it. That's not all that you saw. I'm telling you. Okay, yeah, and then Gamanche, I think we should thank President Mahama. It was beautiful. The president went to visit him when he was taken ill as a result of the accident at the UGMC. It was nice. I saw the pictures, and that was beautiful. So thank you, JM, for that. Okay. Then Toby Afede. So he's not last, okay, or he's last but not the least. Toby Akwekaka, thanks for everything. And we hope that more patriots, more statesmen will join in. Let's stop this one-sided thing. You only talk about your interests. We should look to the larger interests of the Ghanaian. And today, one new thing, before we come to those who urinate outside and the prostate cancer people, you know, I don't know, how many times have we stopped to look at our name, Ghana? You know, Ghana means the warrior king. So when I look at the timidity, I'm like, somebody goes by the name warrior king. You're a warrior, yet your timidity speaks louder than the warriorness in you. Okay, so viewers, that is our name. I know a lot of us don't know what Ghana means. Google it and see what's the meaning of Ghana. Okay. Ghana is the warrior king, warrior. So that means at least in the minimum, you will speak up when you see evil. You see it, say it, then sort it.
You amplified it during the independence conversation. It's important. It's very important. The men under men yes. 40 and above. And
your prostate check, so please
important.
Do the prostate check. We don't want to lose you needlessly. We've lost too many very important people in our society already. That was needless. So please do the prostate check. And the people who urinate outside, please, we are coming for you. Stop it. Find a bottle. Put a bottle in your car. Put a bottle in your backpack, all right? That's the men, it's easy. Maybe it's the women will come out, will talk to the doctors and see the relevant problems.
No, this is it's a very important campaign.
The women will find some containers for them.
Absolutely. But no, it's important. It's important indeed.
Yeah, when you go to Makola, actually, they use the chamber pot, right?
Yes, still.
Yeah, so a woman who has a car, put the chamber pot in your car.
Thank you,
at the back seat. You can get out from the driver's seat and go to the back.
Thank you very much for this. And I also welcome the Honorable Andy Apiakubi, the former Member of Parliament for the Asante North constituency. He's a private legal practitioner as well, and he's a farmer.
Yes.
Good
Thank
morning.
you very much for properly identifying me. I like it when you refer to me as a farmer because I enjoy
the businessman. The businessman.
But you are funny, so you see. So good morning to cherished viewers, and it's always good to be able to come over and share views on national governance and also development issues.
Indeed.
I want always to be sure that I stick to the text as given to me, not necessarily talk about issues that are not of importance to the subject matter and the discussion. And I always want to counsel my good friend Martin that stay out of a penchant for mentioning people's names when they are not necessary in the conversation. And let us be within the middle, as you suggested. And it's important for us to grow more statesmen than partisan politicians so that we'll see issues in this rightful perspective and offer solutions that are nationalistic and also neutral in nature. And let us also point to the ills of all persons, not only attacking a perennial foe. It's important that Andy does something wrong, mention it. Kofi does something wrong, mention it. And also let us make sure that all of us as a country, as a people, we also reorient ourselves into the future. I read something from the speech delivered by the President in the State of the Nations address, and he says that we are on the tarmac getting ready to move. At year 69, we cannot be on the tarmac. We should be retiring. Ghana must have retired to enjoy the benefits of his labor. But if we are at 69 and now we are we have not even taken off. We are now preparing to take off. That's very serious. And that is acknowledgement of our failures over time. And President says again...
this is going to be part of a bigger conversation.
Oh, I hear you.
It's part of
but,
because, we'll have the independence conversation.
Yes, when I was reading the State of Nations address, and I was really like, we are proud of our future. We are proud of our history. What history are we proud of?
Okay.
It should rather serve as a warning that going into the future, we shouldn't be doing the things we have done in the past. But if we are proud of what we have done, that for me is
it's a challenge somewhere.
A challenge that we need to confront.
We would have the conversation, but thank you.
We'll have the conversation on that, but this is a teaser.
It is a teaser.
We should know that
very worthy one.
We haven't done well at 69, and we are still on the tarmac. We are late.
Thank you so much for this one. And when I came in, you were having a conversation about Martin Peebles' outfit today. Forgive me.
Yes, Martin appears to have a whole room of hats. And I want to interrogate his house and see why you keeping so many.
The viewers say they want it, so sometimes you don't have. They also control things here. They say, "Look, change." And
the viewers are not talking to me, so I will get disappointed if they are not talking.
The three-piece.
Okay, today
three-piece suit today.
No, but I'm concerned with the hat.
Thank you.
He brings every hat every day. He brings a new one, and I don't know how far he can go. When he's coming the next, I don't know what to expect.
He has quite a lot.
Let's excite them, because the excitement is also Kofi has been in this game far older than all of us.
Yes.
Sometimes I need to excite them.
And he's always himself.
Yes. Okay. Kofi Bento is private legal practitioner, vice president of Imani Africa. Mr. Bento, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a passionate Ghanaian as well. I just have to add that one. Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to everyone.
And don't forget our green for today.
Yes, indeed.
You see? Yeah, we are in the spirit.
Yes,
this man is not a correct Ghanaian. Today, of all days, you are wearing three-piece hat.
Perfect. Thank you. And I just wanted us to quickly touch on the happenings in Lebanon involving the unfortunate incident involving two of our soldiers. The Ghana forces has given some assurances of what has been done, but quite a sad development. Yes.
So you see, yesterday when I heard of the attack and saw the papers, very, very unfortunate that we have two of our soldiers in a critical condition. Okay, it wrenched my heart. So immediately my mind went back straight to 1968. Israel destroyed our Vickers VC-10 aircraft because they went chasing the Palestinian Liberation Front. So they destroyed about 14 aircraft, including a Ghana Airways aircraft. It brought a lot of tension. So I was like, oh, these people again? Because that matter of the aircraft from 68, it's caused a lot of tension between us. Then from 68, based on what was happening to the Palestinians, for about 40 years, we had no relationship with them. The diplomatic mission was closed until about 2011. So one would have thought that they would learn something from it.
So this was an accidental
but everybody, we've been going
Israel
to...
that bombed?
No,
we've been going to...
It's Hezbollah. There's a...
Exactly.
So
the facts are important.
Look at the statement that the
the Ghana forces. I read it.
Please put it on.
It says this is it. Quick one. This is where there's a fallout. This they described as a fallout of the current ongoing IDF and Hezbollah exchanges.
And where are we? We are that place that was bombed. It's in Lebanon. You are saying that Hezbollah turned and bombed us in Lebanon.
I just want to
Israel is at the other end.
Yeah.
So presumably the things came from that side.
No. It says exchanges.
Yes.
Meaning it won't come from just one faction.
Yeah, but we are not part, and we got it. Hezbollah, where we are, is nearer Hezbollah. We are in Lebanon, doing peacekeeping. Hezbollah is also in Lebanon. Then Israel is at the other side. Then they throw their bombs.
This is a deduction from what you understand from
it's a reasonable inference.
Oh, very.
My point is,
it's them.
In these things, we have to establish
the details.
The facts, that's one. And two, the next thing you need to establish is animus. Okay, was Israel targeting Ghana? All right, they were targeting Lebanon. We happen to be in the crossfire. We are what is called collateral damage in war. Okay, now all that said, for me, what we need to appreciate is that when these things happen, there is an effect on us. I was having a discussion with somebody and I was telling the person that what we should be doing right now is thinking through how we will survive this war in terms of how it will affect our economy.
Even those of us sitting here.
All right? So, I mean, whenever there is war, the world is so linked now that you can't really excuse yourself. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed, okay? Now we have to figure out what to do in terms of getting fuel supplies and making sure that they remain at a certain price. The government has worked hard to bring us to a certain point. The whole world is experiencing those instabilities. Is there anything going on? This is why we have governments, and you hope that there are serious meetings being held about these things. Because in that discussion I was having, I said, well, if it's me, I would figure out how we can start refining our crude, okay? Because the refinery supposedly is working. We have,
in fact, we're going to it's a forward-looking. It's part of the second part of this conversation.
Yeah. So my point is, it's really unfortunate. But look, the difficult fact about this is that this is what war is like, and when you're a soldier, this is what you sign up for. The other side of things is Ghana has been involved in peacekeeping for decades. Some people even believe that a lot of the soldiers and even police people look forward to peacekeeping because it is lucrative. Okay? Question is, what have we gained from it, apart from maybe are people going and making money? Have we done anything interesting with it? It seems to be always a safe thing. You go, you come back, there's no problem. But this is always in the picture. There is always a potential that some of these things are going to happen. And especially where a war starts, okay, we need to appreciate that our men and women are in harm's way, and we need to reevaluate whether we should continue doing this and all the things that come with, being in this kind of situation, so that we are not always taken aback. It's absolutely unfortunate, and my heart goes out to the people, the men and women who are there. If your family member is there, you will know what it means, the sleepless night you are going to have. And whatever it is, look, at the end of the day, we should all try and work towards a world without conflict, or with the least conflict possible. Yes. I am going towards the point of who caused all of this, okay? And for me, whatever influence we have on Americans, we should bring it to bear. We have none, actually. But whatever influence we have, we should bring it to bear. And I recently heard somebody talk about pressure against our government to do something about our cocoa royalties, etc.
That's gold royalties.
No, gold royalties, gold royalties, these are little things, but that constitutes the pressures that we have.
Right.
Many of us have, been unhappy with the moves that America and especially President Trump has been making, okay? And it seems far away, but this is how it all plays out. And our men are under fire. So it's unfortunate, but we should use the opportunity to reevaluate, seriously reevaluate our participation in some of these things.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Normally, a very quick one. Yes.
You see, first and foremost, my heart goes to all people who suffer as a result of war, not only in Ghana, but even the places where we have the war, because most of the citizenry in those countries, they are not part of the confusion and the war per se. They are at the receiving end of the people who are flexing their muscles. So I am very sad when I see children, women, non-military people facing such a challenge. It is very unfortunate. So I'm not only talking about people who are suffering in Ghana, and for that matter, our troops in Lebanon, but I'm also talking about every person who will suffer as a result of war of any kind. And sometimes I want to believe that the international organization, what are we doing? Particularly the United Nations. I mean, these are some of the reasons that people put themselves together to form associations to ensure world peace. But if world peace is always challenged like that, I want to believe that the various organizations are not working effectively as they should. I mean, why should we have even war in the first place if we have agreed to form an association of states where we will take care of each other and ensure that humanity is always protected. What is failing, and how do we reinforce that belief that we must live in a peaceful world? So it is not only a failure of one state against the other, or a complaint of one state against the other, but I see it more as a failure of the world order, and that we are beginning to be personal in our pursuit of world peace. And sometimes it baffles me when I see that the conversation is reduced to conflict or tension between two states. It's a global phenomenon that needs a global attention, and I think that is the more reason why the world formed the United Nations to ensure that we live in peace. So, for me, when we address the global issues, then we'll zero in on the national. In Ghana, this will have a very devastating effect on everything Ghanaian, and not only to talk about the economy, health, infrastructure, everything. You see, we're going to experience natural disturbance in the total environment, and we will be at the receiving end as well. And if you put together all the challenges we will face during and after the war, the question you ask is it justified? Why did we even get there after all? And is it the case that we are failing in our agreements and the international organizations? How do we reinforce it? How do we make more commitment to the expectations of the general world? So it's quite unfortunate, but it needs to be looked at from the global perspective.
And I thank you. I thank you very much for this as well. Very, very important comments, gentlemen. Appreciate it. And we'll keep tabs on this. If there's some more updates from the Ghana Armed Forces, we would let you know. But this is the key point here on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the city of London, and Voice of London television as well. And then also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, quite a number of radio stations across the country. And we're getting to the poll tracker proper. Still linked to what we have just talked about with the US, Israel, Iran war that started exactly a week ago on the show, and then we got to hear of it. Apart from the humanitarian effect or the impact it has had on us and our troops in Lebanon, whenever such wars are happening, thousands of miles away from us, it has an impact on our economy in various ways. We've seen the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war and its impact that it had on our economy. Now we're talking about this. In fact, sometime last year, we had an idea of what was going to happen this year. Anybody who watched closely how the initial war between Israel, the US, and Iran last year would not be surprised about what's happening now, because there was really no conclusion to that particular conflict. And now we are seeing it play out before our eyes. And the impact that it could possibly have is, if this war is prolonged, is what we're going to be talking about on the poll tracker. And over the last 1 week, there's been assurances from the National Petroleum Authority especially. Why? Because this war has a direct impact on crude oil supply globally. The Strait of Hormuz, which has over 22 million barrels of crude oil passing through that particular area, that small area, a day. 22 million barrels of crude oil a day goes through that area where you see that yellow spot. And because of this conflict, there's no activity happening. How much of the reserves do we have as a country to cushion us for as long as this war will last? And then also, what are the alternative measures? Mr. Bento has just referenced that quite briefly, but we're going to get into the details of it. But this is where the whole world is looking at, that small spot, the Strait of Hormuz. 22 million barrels of crude oil per day going through that area. Now, here's the blueprint and what is happening now globally. And this is it. And we're going straight into how the issues are playing out. The crude oil prices have risen, at least over the last 1 week, for the most part of the year, we were hovering between $62 and $67 per barrel. And that has a direct impact on us because there are three factors that influences the pricing of petroleum products at the pumps here in Ghana. One, we're talking about the price of crude oil on the world market, which you are seeing right now. Two, the taxes and levies on our pricing structure. And then three, the currency differentials. That's how the cedi is faring against the dollar. We've seen the cedi hold its own against the dollar and other trading currencies quite strongly. So yes, there's some positivity in there. The taxes and levies haven't changed. So the only movement we are seeing right now, per the impact that all the factors taken into consideration in the pricing of the petroleum products have, is what is happening on the world market. Now, crude oil is trading at $92.07 per barrel. $92.07 per barrel. And this is it. This is how the big picture looks like right now. Here's where we get our refined petroleum imports from. Remember, Ghana, until recently, we didn't have the Tamale refinery on stream. So the Tamale refinery coming on stream has changed the narrative about the conversation as to what the next phase will be. But for the most part of this period, we did not have the Tamale refinery on stream. So even though we produce crude, we import finished products. And that's why you have the bulk oil distribution companies also having their own work to do. This is it. 20% of our direct imports comes from UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and all these other areas that have also been directly impacted by this war. So that's how the picture looks like. Beyond that, the National Petroleum Authority has given us this assurance. As of Thursday, this is information exclusively from the National Petroleum Authority. As of Thursday, we had a little over 5 weeks of cover in terms of petrol. That if anything should happen at all right now, we have for the next 5 weeks petrol. Almost 8 weeks of diesel for the next period. That is what we do know. Almost 8 weeks of diesel. And talking about the National Petroleum Authority, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority is here with us. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Godwin Tamaklo. Mr. Tamaklo, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers are loyal.
Indeed.
You know, they have remained extremely loyal to this platform. Sure. And they have positioned the platform so well. That's right. And they deserve the commendation.
Indeed.
And so I think it's proper that I do that. And also, today I have 3 of my seniors here. So, as usual, I hope that Kofi Bento will not intimidate me on this platform.
Does this one look like it can be
you see, in court, that's what the seniors do. When they come, they will mention their name, and then the judge will say seniority at the bar. Yeah. So you move your application first. You know.
It's only the application that you move.
Yes.
That's right.
As for substantive matters,
you say when were you called to the bar?
Exactly, you know, and that's where the intimidation starts. You know, they'll ask you. No, they will ask you, were you in Kumado's class? You know, exactly. So you will see that, you know. So once again, I want to say a good morning.
Have you forgotten the Mputo approach?
Yes. As for Prof. Kumado, you remember, tort and constitutional law. Once he gives you the question and you are all over the place, he said that's the Mputo approach. You know, you miss everything, you know. So once again, a good morning to my distinguished seniors here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This is what you're saying now is a reflection of the fact, is it not? That we have a little over 5 weeks of petrol. That is as of Thursday.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, moving on. I want us to get a bit more detail into why this is extremely important. Because in terms of our consumption, monthly consumption of petrol and diesel in liters, we have almost 300 million liters of petrol that we consume on a monthly basis. This is also according to the National Petroleum Authority.
Yeah.
Almost 300 million barrels. Sorry, 300 million liters of petrol and almost 250 million liters of diesel that we consume on a monthly basis. I'm doing all of this to give you a clear picture of the reserve, how much it would last, and then also the other measures that have been put in place to ensure that we actually stay afloat. But these are the top contributors in terms of the pricing of petroleum products at the pumps. The ex-refinery price, taxes and levies, crude oil price on the world market as well, and then you have the BDC's margin. So you understand, when you go to the pumps to buy fuel, this is what goes into the pricing. What we have seen over time is the continuous escalation of the forces that is costing all of this, the impact on the choke point, that is the Strait of Hormuz, as I referenced earlier, and how critical this particular area is to when it comes to crude oil supply globally. Now, if you look at how this is impacting us as a country, this is it. You should understand. This direct impact, we are not immune to it at all if this continues. But for good reason. Let me start this conversation with lawyer Godwin Ejudi Tamaklo, because this directly falls on your lap. We don't know when this war is going to end. We have, for now, a little over 5 weeks of petrol and then 7 weeks of diesel.
Days or weeks?
Weeks. So if this continues, even beyond this period, what's our fallback plan?
Okay, so once again, good morning to our cherished viewers. I want to assure the good people of this country that we are not leaving anything to chance. Thankfully, I have a very proactive sector minister, the Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapor, the national security architecture as well, and the president who oversees everything. If you look at the 2023 data, it suggests that the petroleum downstream contributes about 8% to GDP growth at that time. That's huge. Now, with this contribution, even though it's 8%, the impact is more direct. There's a direct impact from the whole issue, you understand, when you compare in terms of what the downstream does to the overall Ghanaian economy. And one of the things that we should all take note is that based on the leadership provided by my sector minister, he's conveyed all the petroleum-related agencies to a crucial meeting so that we can all look and project properly how would resolve two critical things: energy security and pricing. Because you're looking at the issues of the supply and you're also looking at its affordability without compromising the quality. And so what we have done through the strong team that we have at the authority is to continuous monitoring and also engage our counterparts outside the country. It's important. So if you look at the data you shared, 80% of the product we import into the country, mostly from Europe. So we are looking at Rotterdam in the Netherlands, the other good places in Europe that we rely on greatly. Now, 20% of the imported products are coming from the Arabian region. I'll use Arabian like to describe the whole UAE, Oman, Kuwait, and all of those regions. And so the most difficult conversation now is what is the immediate supply challenges to the European refineries and where the products are going through. Once we are able to properly analyze and understand the dynamics there, then we'll look at how to provide a buffer for the 20% coming from the Arabian region. It's also important to make this point that today, a few dynamics have changed. The presence of Dangote. The presence of Dangote has changed the dynamics greatly because he is also doing enough production in Nigeria, Lekki here. That's right. About maximum a day or 2 or 3 from Nigeria, you are here. Okay? And so the production that he's doing, which is about 650,000 barrels every day from Nigeria, that's significant. So to the point that he's able to get about 54% more to export. That is a strong buffer in terms of the West African sub-region. And so that's also important. Dangote has become a critical intervention in the whole arithmetics, as you can see. Okay. Then the other thing is also...
You want to make he's right, and this is part of the discussion some of us have had. Question is, these guys, you don't go to them today and tell them, I want fuel tomorrow. So the thinking is that by now, we are working with Dangote and making sure that in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there's a pipeline, there's a fuel, supply that is coming. It must be arranged ahead of time. Okay. And not just even for this period, but going forward, why do we buy from Rotterdam when we can buy from Nigeria? I'm waiting for him to say we have done this arrangement. We know he's producing, Dangote is producing, but whether he is producing for us is what I'm hoping.
I want my friend to address also the situation of Tor, because I heard about it.
I'm just building up.
Yes, all of this.
Because we are just looking at the major supply zones.
Yes.
Now, the other beautiful thing is that, and like my senior pointed out, we've had a very good relationship with Dangote Refinery.
Right.
Through the instrumentality of my sector minister, we have had much earlier engagement with him to see the best way in these circumstances. If it has to even do with emergency cargo deployments, we can always look at. We've had the opportunity of going to the refinery to see the supply reliability relative to him. The other thing too is that if you have a situation where, for instance, you position Dangote in such a way that if anything comes, Nigeria itself is also a crude producer. That's one thing that we must appreciate. Nigeria itself produces the crude. And so our hope and prayer, and now let's say prayer here, is that the belligerents, the egos that are at play in the the Middle East will come down a bit.
Right.
I've been monitoring President Trump on True Social, and he's made a point that there must be unconditional surrender. But like it has been said, maybe Iran may not be a Venezuela. Iran may not be an Iraq. The dynamics in terms of leadership may be different. And so maybe immediate surrender may prove a bit more. And I have always maintained that Iran has about 6,000 years of civilization backing it, from the biblical days till now. So it is not just one of those new countries that just surfaced.
Sure.
They have lived through resistance over 600 years. So the dynamics may be a bit more different. I maybe suggest that President Donald Trump should look at the impact globally of this war, possibly that was not properly evaluated. I've listened to the Energy Secretary of the U.S. make the point that, yes, there may be immediate shock from the war on, like America, they call it gas prices. However, immediately the war ends, the prices will come down just as they are rising. I need to make this point that currently in the country, the Central Refinery has provided a very critical buffer. Central is helping us with 30% of our domestic needs.
30%.
So it has changed the dynamics now.
I see. So there's some refining going on.
Massive.
At Central. And
Central alone is giving us about 30% of our local needs.
That is the 30% of what I just showed you. This one. All things being equal.
Exactly. Even combined, you understand. But more importantly, the diesel component.
Okay.
You understand.
Right.
Now, with these dynamics, what it tells you, and is as though we knew this was going to happen. So we've been engaging the promoters of Dangote, Central, where we've been trying to find out from them and which data they have given us to know 6 months ahead of time the nature of their crude imports. So that once we have an idea, the reliability of their crude imports for 6 months, it allows planning at the authority.
Okay.
Last year, we engaged them. We got that. This year, they have given us firm assurances of that reliability of crude, which is also critical. Speaking now, like you gave the data much earlier that, okay, as at the time the conflict started, that was last week, Saturday.
Yes.
When we did a projection, some 5 days, 7 days, that kind of weeks. It could even be more. Yeah. But these are just rough estimates. Now, what is key is that this is the highest cover we've gotten in a long while.
I see.
And let me also make the point that, you see, in the past, you can say that Central was not doing full blast. So the dynamics today have greatly changed. And that reliability is also helping us to contain the shock that is coming.
Right.
The other thing is that currently, and as at last week, excuse me, if we had that number, that is as though nothing new is coming in.
Right.
Do you get it?
Okay.
When we did that last week when the conflict started, it's as though nothing is coming in. Currently at Anchorage, we have almost about 4 vessels there. Some carrying 37,000 metric tons, 42,000 metric tons. That gives you closely 50 million liters of products currently. So if you have even 4 vessels, and totally it gives you almost 120,000 metric tons. That's significant. That extends that, what shall I say, the 5 weeks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
What we have also, and we are keeping eyes on, is the fact that if you go to Lome, so usually what you can see is that the big guys, the traders, the Vitors, the Trafigueras, the Glencores and others, usually, and BP, of course, usually what they do is that they bring their bigger vessels into Lome waters because of the bigger drafts and the rest. And when they have it there, currently we are looking at almost 500,000 metric tons in Lome waters. You understand? And so usually what happens is that with that 500,000, with the bigger vessels, the smaller vessels just goes in to pick the 30,000, 40,000 and the rest. So we are looking at a situation where, and the analysis that we are doing is the ifs. If this one doesn't happen, what happens? Thankfully, my brother Edmond Combat is doing everything to keep Tema Oil Refinery, steady. And so that is also a key factor that we cannot do or ignore. So we are looking at a situation where Tor and Centu may together be doing about 40% more of our domestic refinery or needs. And once we ramp up, and Tor has the capacity to do even more, and that is why I've always encouraged that Ghanaian businessmen should see, particularly the banks, nothing stops them from syndicating good, financial backing for Tema Oil Refinery.
So Tor needs some retooling.
Obviously, over the years, once you keep machineries of this nature down without working for a long time, it comes with wear and tear. Also looking at the fact of its location, closer to the ocean. It comes with all, dynamics. So what government is doing is also to look at empowering Tema Oil Refinery. So together, Tor, Centu, and we have some modular refineries too, but they are quite small. They do 6,000 barrels, 5,000 barrels. They are quite small. They are modular refinery. They are not bigger enough to do it. So overall, we are keeping our eyes on it. But let me be quick to say this. You see, because you need crude to refine, particularly within the country and outside, once the price moves to, say, $90, right, it has impact on pricing. And so at the FOB, usually for pricing, two things critically impact: the Forex and the FOB pricing. And so because the crude itself, the pricing had increased, the FOB will naturally also do what? Go up. So the approach we are trying to do is to engage the managers of the Ghanaian economy. And here I mean the Finance Ministry, BOG, and the other players in. So that if, for instance, petroleum, the importers of petroleum products can be given a good exchange regime that will absorb the impacts.
That already exists.
No, what exists now, it allows us, the BIDEX to go to BOG for the auctioning of the Forex and others.
That's right.
So there are two things.
Okay.
Availability of the Forex and also the rates. Because when the Forex is not available, they'll go to the black markets.
Okay.
And that's where the problem. So BOG for auctioning helps to keep a certain availability assurance. But the other thing too is that we also want to look at a situation where the Finance Ministry, BOG, can agree that for particular national security purposes and intervention, maybe there should be a Forex of, say, 9 cedis for the BDCs, for their import requirements, for this period.
That's that kind of a special arrangement.
A special arrangement.
That rate.
And that can, as it were, accumulate the shocks that may come. So that maybe if you leave only the Forex dimension together with the FOB, it may take the price to maybe 16. But maybe by keeping the Forex down, it may take it to 14.
Okay.
You understand? So these are all the scenarios we are putting on the table.
Okay.
And thankfully, what my sector minister has done is to keep all the critical players involved. Okay. Now, the flip side, and Senior is here, is that whilst crude price is going up, gold price is also going up.
Good.
And so we are looking at gold doing 5,300, 5,000. No, not good for oil, please. Let us not confuse the two. Okay. Exactly. So 5,300. So the more gold into the system, it helps also the exchange rates. So the flip side is that it gives BOG significant buffer to work the exchange rate and keep it a bit more stable for us. So the situation is still volatile, the situation is still fluid, and we are keeping our eyes on the distance and daily briefing of the people who matter on these matters.
It's very important detail that you give to us from the short to the medium term approach to this.
And maybe just so let me just add, you know, our neighbors also, particularly the Sahelian areas, they pick some of their product. Those ones are, you know, like state arranged.
Okay.
Because we have a very good relationship with our Sahelian neighbors. Remember, the president has a special envoy on the Sahelian arrangement, my respected senior Larry Bebrulati. But however, there are also unauthorized movement of petroleum products. So what we are doing is to work closely with the security architecture in the country so that these weeks of cover, we don't also provide leaks, unauthorized leaks into where product is a bit. So we are keeping our eyes on all the scenarios. It's a holistic picture.
I beg. So my brother here, in some of the, you have the officials, you have the analysts, and you have the public.
Sure.
Okay, he's spoken a lot of English, and he's supposed to make us all feel good. As an analyst, I understand what he's saying, but I'm thinking about the public. And what I want to do is to try and break what he said down so that he helps us with it. Number one thing in the minds of the public is, will the prices go up or not? All right? Will the prices go up or not? Now, he said so many things which, if you put together, this is what an analyst thinks. We have enough moving parts, enough resources, enough buffers, enough forex and all kinds of things, such that a competent government can arrange that at least in the next 8 weeks, we should be able to hold the prices. The key issue there will be the forex availability and then the FOB that he was talking about. Now, that is also within the capability of government to manage. The question is whether the cost and benefit of it is worth doing. To the extent that we are able to spend 300 million on gold board, we should be able to spend that kind of money to hold fuel prices stable, because that is critical to the economy. And when it comes to the forex and the BDC's issue, it was arranged before even this government came in. So there's a framework there already. All right. So first thing that I want to ask, you just said that Centio and Tor can move up their production by about 40%.
Yes.
Now, if Centio and
currently Centio is already doing 30.
I hear you.
And so I'm saying that if Tor comes in full blast, that will constitute 40%.
What will that constitute in terms of the total production for? Ghana needs 100%. What percentage of that Centio will be covered by the two of them?
That's what I'm saying. That so if we put Ghana 100%, currently, but for Centio and Tor, we'll be doing 100% on the dynamics you've shown,
which is
the 2080. The 2080 dynamics.
Yes.
Where 80% Europe, 20% the Gulf region.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
That's for the entire, nation. However, today by reason by reason of Central alone, the reliance 100% on Europe and the Gulf region had been reduced by 30%. That's the point I'm making.
I hear you. So, what percentage of our total consumption can Central and Tor produce?
That's almost 40%. That's
okay. What it means is that we have a 60% shortfall.
Absolutely.
A 60% shortfall, which we are making up from foreign.
Yes.
Of this.
And that foreign, 80% of it is European.
Yes.
Right.
Which may not necessarily be the theater of the current.
Rotterdam, so we are not going through the Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly.
So,
however, the crude to all the other places
goes through the
will go through.
So I understand. You see, me, I'm trying to make it less complex. What it means is that what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz does not necessarily have to affect us.
But the pricing of crude,
the pricing
globally, will come from that.
The pricing of crude will be determined, affected by what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz. But that is if our government allows it to hit the ordinary person on the street today.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, which you think will be closed, the crude prices will go up.
Yes.
If they go up, it will affect us, even if we have crude supply.
True.
All right, now. But if we have an increased crude pricing, question, government can choose to absorb that or choose to pass it down. What my brother is assuring me of is that crude supply is not a problem. Supply of finished products is not a problem. The issue is going to be whether government chooses to absorb the extra and whether government chooses to supply the necessary forex. So forex also is a supply and pricing issue. Okay, now, I'm saying that when it comes to the forex, the supply of forex is a government competency issue. When it comes to the pricing of forex, it is a government policy decision issue. Because in the past, before this government came in, there was an arrangement where forex goes to the BDCs at a special rate and the supply is guaranteed.
From the Bank of Ghana.
Yes. In this dispensation, that arrangement still exists. And he's just talking about its enhancement.
No, but let me clarify.
It's a different thing.
No, let me clarify. You see, in the past, you could auction the forex.
Yes.
But you auction it at 17 cedis. There's two things.
They're different.
So you see, in the past,
that's government policy.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
So BOG intervenes by auctioning availability.
Yes.
But pricing is a general economic model where, for instance, the exchange rate is, say, 17 to $1. It will be available, but it will be available at 17.
Okay.
Do you get it? If it's not available, it may go to 19. So that is what the previous auctioning mechanism was doing.
You mean it dealt with availability?
Yeah, availability.
Good.
But here, there are two things. You also have a situation where it is available, but cheaper.
Okay.
So it absorbed the shock that ordinarily would have come.
Okay.
So that's how
so my
want
point
to
is,
look at it.
both availability and price can be affected, one, by government competency and policy.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
so in
policy.
the past, the pricing, hold on, in the past, the pricing was a problem because then it could trade at 17, it could trade at 15. But now, it could be available, but at a cheaper rate.
Does that bring some clarity to the point?
No.
Okay. All right.
I hear what he's saying, but what I am saying is that that pricing issue is a government policy issue.
Right.
Agreed.
Okay? If we have 8 weeks of fuel supply, okay, we have some buffer. What it means is that it is the new stock we are going to take, which we have to figure out in terms of pricing. Okay. Now, do we have strategic stocks? We're supposed to have it. We pay for it.
When you say strategic stocks, what exactly do you mean?
So in our architecture for petroleum systems, the petroleum systems architecture, even BOST, okay, has a role to play in terms of having some sort of buffers, okay, some stocks, okay, and it's built in somewhere there. Okay, in what we pay for. Now, you are the boss of that. So I know in the past that has been a problem, for which reason I, for instance, believe boss should be, scrapped totally. But no. Wait. I don't want us to go off. But you see, this is the issue. This is the only reason why institutions like BOST exist. When we have crisis, they come in to paper over because, like I said, this is not about the people in the ministries talking. This is not about we analysts talking. It's about what is happening to the, ordinary man on the street. And we spend millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on BOST. And they just keep giving us losses over time until recently. So the question is, will that be done? And that's why I say whether the prices will increase or not is a matter of government policy. And the policy will be both availability and pricing. And whether the government finds it necessary to absorb that shock for 8 weeks or not, assuming that the Strait of Hormuz will be open after 8 weeks, after 2 months or so. Okay, so this kind of scenario building is what governments exist for. And it will be very, very useful for him, you have him here, to give us an idea of the thinking.
So
if you left it to me. No, you've done a good job.
I've already given you an indication that as we speak, there are clear, specific discussion with the finance minister.
Towards what end?
To the extent that, for instance, the second window. So this first window is already closed.
Sure.
The second window. What's going to be the pricing? Those bringing the products will need a firm assurance that, okay, are we going to get it at $10, even though the market is selling at 11? Are we going to get it at 9.5, even though the market is doing 11?
So all those
So that
discussions
if we go to the market for 11 and we pass on, we will take the price from the current rate, maybe 12, to say 13.5 or 14. We don't want to go there. So the finance minister, the discussion is that, okay, can you, in the interim, for a month or 2 weeks, ensure that through gold board's intervention and others, because now there's a higher price, say that there's enough forex in the system, said that if I'm doing 9.5 for you, I can still get to cover your imports for this second window, so that the pass-on effect of pricing standalone, not the FOB, would be what? Mitigated. So the FOB may bring it to maybe additional 1 cedi. However, if you
the FOB.
Oh, the FOB, as though like the price, if you don't add all our taxes, everything, and you are bringing it.
Alfred, I was on the floor. I'm making a fundamental point.
You asked the question, that's why I just getting a response.
No, I beg you. He hasn't answered my question. He hasn't answered my question. There are the details of what you want to do, and then there is what you want to do. And I'm asking, is it government policy that they will pass on the price increase and shocks to ordinary people? Or it is government policy that they will use all the little things that he's talking about.
No, that's what I'm giving you.
No, is it so or is it not so?
No,
the details are one thing. That's what we have to pay you for.
Will government pass on?
That is what I'm saying.
Wait. Alfred, me and you, question. Is it government policy to pass on the price increases to ordinary Ghanaians? I'm not talking about how. What? Will they pass it on or they will work to absorb it? How you work to absorb it is why we pay you.
Okay.
No, but I think
what is the policy?
You see, when you structure the question as though you are doing cross-examination, where you are eliciting a binary response, a 0 or 1, it becomes problematic.
Yes, I agree.
No, let me explain further. No, you're putting words in my mouth. Let me explain. I beg. Me too, I do policy analysis. Listen. You can have a policy that says, I will not do this, or I will do this. And then somewhere down the line, policy is 3 ways: a priori, contemporaneous, and post facto. Before you know the fact, a priori, say, this is what I want to do. As you are doing it contemporaneously, things come up. They can come and tell us that because of A, B, and C, we couldn't do it. I'm not eliciting a binary response today. I am saying what is the mind of government. It is our intention that this and this and this and this and this. Next week, they'll come and say, oh, this was our intention, but because of this and this and this and this and this, we can't do it 100%, we'll do it 60%. The intention today can be determined. All right? As for what will happen, we don't know.
All right.
You get my question now. So we should know that intention.
You don't get that answer from, for instance, the engagement with the finance ministry, the projections that have been made. It doesn't answer that.
No, but even from now, it should be obvious. It should be obvious to
this man here is sitting. Oh, I beg you. This man here. You see, we have a big Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
We have Bank of Ghana. They do all kinds of little things.
Okay.
NPA is the pinpoint, pencil head, arrowhead institution concerning petroleum. Petroleum Authority. He should lead that, he should beg for that, he should lobby for that, and let them tell him so and so and so and so and so. He shouldn't be holding forth for. He should be looking at, we should do whatever we can to make sure that we stabilize the petroleum front.
The NPA does not operate, for instance, in isolation. Like I pointed out, thankfully, I have a minister who is very proactive.
That's right.
So by Tuesday, he had conveyed a meeting. In the meeting,
Tuesday passed.
Yeah, Tuesday passed. In that meeting, you had like GMPC, a rep from Tema Oil Refinery, and all the critical players as far as reliability, availability conversations are concerned. 2 things. What should happen to pass on to the consumer and he tasked us, because we are the authority, to run different simulations for him. If it gets to 90, what will be the price if nothing changes? Stand alone. What will be the price? What will be the rate of the Ghana cedi, assuming the rate is constant now? And in fact, he specifically asks, if crude prices increase by $20 or 20%, what will be the impact currently, assuming nothing changes? We had to run all those approaches for him. Then the other thing that we needed to do is to ask, okay, assuming we keep Forex at 10 and crude alone rises, the crude prices alone rises, what would be the impact on the consumer? We also had to look at that. Then we realized that, look, one of the things government can do to mitigate the pricing impact on the average Ghanaian is if a particular rate in the interim can be agreed for the importers of petroleum products, it will keep the price reasonably okay for the average Ghanaian to afford. So that if all things being equal, if you had not done anything and you said the market alone should determine everything, maybe the price will go to 17. But keeping it, you may go to 14, which will be reasonably within the reach of the average Ghanaian. So that is how we are looking at it.
That decision is not taken yet, from what conversation I observed. And it will not take the ministry.
No, because we do it in Windows. We do it in Windows.
It will not take the ministry or the group as supervised by the minister to take that decision. All those permutations will inform the scenarios that are possible to happen, and that will go to cabinet for cabinet to digest it and come out with a policy decision on whether or not. Otherwise, the answer to this question should be simple: yes or no.
No, but you don't structure conversations like okay.
You see, so what I'm saying is that we understand the situation. The ministry is preparing and looking at the various scenarios and making a recommendation to cabinet. And it is only cabinet that will absorb the possible impact, or we cannot absorb. We pass on maybe 40% to the consumer and absorb 60, or otherwise pass 60 and absorb 40. That decision has not been taken. That is why I see it difficult for my good friend to give an answer to a yes or no question. Having realized that they are already preparing, I'm sure that a brief will go to cabinet pretty soon, probably this week, so that by next week we will know the intentions of government, and then all of us will be informed by such intentions. And I know that when we have situations like this before, in 2023, 2024, of the Ukraine war and all that, we knew the impact of the war on our local economy. Taking away the politics, we should also understand why we are preparing for possible shocks and possible change of economic situation. And this is why I always say that people who take advantage of exogenous factors in doing politics, they end up being the sufferers when the situation changes. Now I can see the present government preparing for such challenges in the very near future. So I personally would want us to look at the issues and like I was against this incoming government when they were politicizing the Ukraine war. I was against it. And I'm equally against this because it will happen. It is something that is bound to happen.
We never politicized.
No. We were in the country.
Yes, I was.
So don't. So,
no, Senior, how did
we were in the country. We knew how.
This is a platform so that Senior, with respect, Senior, respect.
He's leading you to temptation. Don't go. Continue making your
No, Senior, with respect.
No.
Oh, he's my senior.
Allow me. Let me end. You have your chance. And I'm pre-warning Ghanaians that we are faced with this scenario. It is likely that everybody will be called to, answer questions like this, and we are all going to be called upon to shoulder the burden as it comes. And I am pre-warning that when it happens like that, we should understand that the past opposition took advantage of the global problems that confronted our nation in 2024. And therefore, they will be faced with this same challenge. And what I'm saying is that let them acknowledge. For me, what is important is acknowledge the difficulties that you faced and the problems that you created for the past administration. Then you can explain the circumstances of the present and also solicit the support of the citizenry in managing this economic situation. Otherwise, we'll compound the problems into the future. So for me, something happened. It wasn't good enough. The advantage that was taken is coming back to hit this new government. But let us also think of the state in future, because we need to manage the state. We need not be reckless in managing the circumstances of the present so that we create more problems for the future of the country. And that is why I always advocate, let's be factual, let's be open, let's be transparent, and kick out politics. You take political advantage at one time, you live to bear the political disadvantage at another time. So this is my submission. Right. And let us also be transparent. In all these discussions, let's not keep Ghanaians out of the boardroom, and let us get Ghanaians to understand why we have done the reconfiguration and why there is a need for us to understand the difficulties and the challenges ahead of us. It will come. So let's prepare for it. Right. And then let's do less politics, more of solutions.
President Mahama, President Mahama cares. President Mahama cares.
The moment you introduce issues like that,
no, but you see, but no, hold on.
Also join you in the political free.
No, but you see, he is the president. Hold on, please.
So,
please.
If that is what you are saying,
senior, respectfully.
Senior, respectfully. I have my time.
I'm just letting you appreciate that. President Mahama cares. That is why he's put people in charge to observe the situation and advise.
So it is only President Mahama that cares. Is that all?
I speak for President Mahama, and I'm saying that he cares.
No other president has cared.
I don't know, but he cares.
So please. I think when we're speaking,
the last point you ended on is that the public should be carried along.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. And when you bring in President Mahama case, that is irrelevant. Every president is selected to supervise a country, including all the sectors. So everybody has done his part. It has come to the term of President Mahama. He must care. It's not that he's duty bound. He's duty bound to care.
In the past, I'm not sure. That's why I'm clarifying.
If you're saying that he's the only one that cares, that I disagree with you.
Okay, gentlemen, let
So we are not seeing her casting.
You've not had your time yet. You've not had your time yet.
You see, I am saying that let's be Ghanaian now and not be political elements.
All right.
You see, but even being Ghanaian now is to the advantage of this present government. Otherwise, we will be doing politics with it. And I'm suggesting that politicization of this present circumstance will not help Ghana as an enterprise.
Right. Thank you.
So
yes, indeed. We've got a statement as well from the Foreign Affairs Ministry regarding this. We'll put it on the screen in a bit. But then again, that's where we started the conversation from. Now we are at this impact on the economic situation from the humanitarian. And Lamont, before I come to you, let me acknowledge the presence of Richard Ahiagba, who is on Zoom. He's Director of Communications of the NPP. He's held up in an equally important duty, so he's unable to join us, but he's joining us on Zoom. Ahiagba, good morning.
Good morning, Alfred.
Thank you for joining us. Also joining us is Professor Ransford Jampo. Is a professor of political science first, and then his duty to the nation as the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority. Prof, good morning. Welcome.
Morning. Thanks for having me. Greetings to my shippers, greetings to my colleagues
Martin, where are you going from here? You are looking splendid.
Want to excite the viewers by asking questions.
He's a comprador of the bourgeoisie.
He said he's putting up a challenge for all of you.
Comprador.
They'll be asking for change.
Okay, so today, you are going to chair some wedding or... In fact, Ben has just whispered that he celebrated his birthday this week.
I don't mention birthdays. Please don't go further. I get too much attention, so I don't want birthday.
You don't want birthday attention.
But you are looking splendid.
The only person wearing a cap.
Thank you.
Why would you receive attention?
The man is still in the birthday mood, which is appreciated. Happy birthday, senior.
So greetings to farmer lawyer Apiakubi. Greetings to senior Osofo. And then my brother Iduji.
What's the size of Fudina?
No, he's still.
Oh, how? What giants of Fudina? Propaganda.
Well, appreciate you. Thank you for coming. Lamati Pebu, you see, the reason why this is important, and we spent quite some time on Digital Macro to understand the dynamics that we're faced with, and the thinking going on now to address a possible prolonged conflict, because it's out of our control, really. What we have to think about is how to mitigate the impact. Now, those assurances, do you get the answers to a number of the questions that you were having earlier, plus the fact that crude oil, in fact, fuel, is crucial to this economy. In fact, if it goes south, it affects almost everything we have in this country.
Okay, good. So, before I go into the substance of it, Prof, you didn't mention, earlier in the week, was it on Tuesday, we went to Kumasi to commiserate with Sami Jemfi. Yes. So our condolences against Sami Jemfi. No, he lost his father-in-law in a very bad robbery. His father-in-law was robbed and then killed. It's terrible. So we had to go to Kumasi for the 1 week celebration.
It showed that he's also led a good life, because I saw the caliber of people who thrown to the venue just for 1 week. I mean, it's important, and it was across the political divide. And one thing that excites me in Ghana is that regardless of our differences, one thing that has kept us together is that behind the scenes we have a certain relationship that we've built, amongst ourselves, and I think it's what is keeping us together. So, Sami Jemfi, our condolence to you once again, and your beautiful wife.
Thank you very much.
Good. Yes. So I got quite a number of insightful answers from Ediji's analysis. Yes. All right. So at least it's assured me to a large extent. But before I continue, there's one question I want to ask, so that will inform the rest of my analysis. So, Ediji, considering that the current window is up to the 14th, right? So we change. So
hopefully from the 16th,
we'll have a new pricing. So notwithstanding everything happening in Iran, etc. My question is that, so because currently we have in country 5.3 weeks of cover, why wouldn't the prices stay the same? To the ordinary man, you have this in stock, because for decades we've been fighting this. The moment we hear prices are increasing internationally, stock that you bought at the lower price, immediately you want to sell it higher.
So I'll tell you. So at the authority, for instance, we pick Intel that even within this pricing window, some of the big boys were attempting to do one or two things. So we've quickly, thankfully, they are structured. They have an association. So we've reached out that as a regulator, we are monitoring. If you do what is not acceptable, there are regulatory consequences for that decision. And so it's not as though we are passive. There are clear distance that we are keeping eyes, because we know who has what.
Exactly.
And we know the price at which you brought it in.
Yes.
So if suddenly by reason of this you want to do A, B, C, D, we can see you, and it will impact on your standing with us.
Perfect. So that
no. So that one that we've actually reached out to the industry.
Yes.
It's a structured industry.
And I think there's also a directive on uniform pricing.
No, that's much different. That's at the
this one about
but
the
this
stock.
one, the
So-
stock level, we know.
Yes.
Because before you can bring in the product into the country, we permit you to do that.
That's right.
And so if company Martin Kpebu has, say, 50 million liters of product currently in, we know it.
Yeah.
And we can easily interrogate the numbers, what rate you purchased it. So if suddenly you come and tell me that, okay, even though I have this, I bought it at price, so and so, but I want to sell it to the consumer at a higher price, we'll ask you the basis for doing that.
Thank you.
No, so we are very much on this issue.
So then, yes. And everything inclusive.
Everything,
So
that we are looking at everything inclusive as though nothing has happened.
Taxes are controlled by government.
Yes.
Senior, the tax
Yes, but
component
they've already
don't
come in, so
introduce
these are
it into
stock in tank.
in country already.
So, we are trying to say that I'm using the ordinary man's analysis. My understanding is that look, you have yes.
The stock we have.
So we
You
want
should
the
sell it
price
at
by the
least.
same price. Sell to
It's not that simple, but you go ahead.
Yes, but that is what we need to insist on, because every time the more the prices increase, then they get to increase when they have stock.
No,
So
even
then-
the danger associated with the senior is hoarding. Because the
Perfect.
person can deliberately decide that I won't sell this stock simply because I want to take advantage of the next window and sell it higher. No, but that's what that's what I'm saying. That so we have the opportunity to monitor the movement. Who has what, which depot has what, which depot has which amount, the rate at which you brought it in.
Excellent.
And we've already communicated that to the people there.
Thank you very much. So the ordinary man, I'm expecting that this 5.3 weeks.
For the next 5 weeks.
Yes, there should be no increase.
At least.
It may not necessarily be so.
Reflecting what has happened internationally. That's what we want.
Because at least what it means is that this one was processed before the war.
Exactly. We just want that. Just that one. If you would keep them at the prices that they should be.
We have our eyes. We have our eyes on them.
That's all.
Can you also call that after that, the petroleum taxes should be zeroed? It was done in Ronaldo's time.
Yes.
Yeah. Ronaldo's time, he zeroed it. I just pulled it up here.
When you say zero, when you say zero,
PSRL, the petroleum stability and the taxes was zeroed. This is government policy.
No, when we say zero, the taxes are menu.
My brother,
at least 40%.
the petroleum stability. Okay,
one of them.
Price stabilization and recovery levies.
That one they do.
Yes, my point is, he was talking about caring president.
Yes.
That president that you say he was not caring, at that time said zero.
That's a price stabilization.
Listen to me. I'm saying this. I'm saying whatever it is.
A
certain president zeroed it.
Don't confuse the public.
We are asking. No. Wait.
Senior, with respect.
Hold on.
Okay, so let me on the floor. I haven't finished. I understand it.
And I'm saying,
I understand that.
I know where this information is. That's why he has it. That's what I'm saying, that there appears to be a very good. No, this collaborative information sharing.
Yes, so
collaborative information sharing. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that you people.
Relax.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much.
So collaborative information sharing. I appreciate it.
Okay, so let me quickly address Kofi so that you see at a point, when the CD collapsed. Yes, when the CD collapsed, the taxes on the petroleum, the last time it shouldn't be less than 14%. If you do the price build up, it cannot be less than 35%.
It's within that range.
Right. So, Kofi, what you're saying is that one of the taxes, the stabilization, that's one, but not all. No. It wasn't all. The one.
Stabilization and recovery levies.
Yes, I'm coming, and I'm saying that when you look at the price build up, those are
about
two. 13.
So
So the two, that's all that I wanted to mention, because the moment
call for them to be zero. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, but the moment a viewer who doesn't follow this hears this, means that zero all the taxes. That's what I wanted. So please, so please, for the avoidance of doubt, at the time when our city had great challenges, were in dire straits, what Akufo-Addo did was they asked for those two taxes to to be zeroed. Not all the taxes.
First of all, Senior Kwebu, we had ESLA commitments. You had already securitized ESLA receivables. And so you are going to pay those debts. And so if you look in terms of the entire ESLA build-up, there are specifics. So you cannot zero a few that gives you nothing much. Already in 2015, and that is where the dynamics becomes clear. Please. In 2015, when President Mahama introduced the ESLA, the Energy Sector Levies Act, the price stabilization was supposed to be an accumulation. So that when there are shocks, you introduce those shocks to minimize the impact. By the time Russia-Ukraine happened, there had been so much accumulation. So you could introduce it and net. It won't have any effect on taxes. Right. That's a different thing. Please, let us know. But because we had then used ESLA receivables as collateral, you needed it. So that is why you will see that the ESLA Act itself was not scrapped, but they only net zeroed a component of it. Please, let's put the dynamics. What have you accumulated? When your ESLA is still a debt, you have done haircut on ESLA investors.
Okay, very good. Yes, so
the dynamics have changed.
So what we're saying is that, look, for me, as a citizen, look, once you do, I'm wrapping up, and let me retreat, and that's what will concern millions of us who are consumers.
Absolutely.
Once the remaining 5 weeks, we get them sold as the petroleum we sold at the current prices, we are good to go. After we've exhausted the stock, then we can look at what is happening internationally. Then number two, based on what my lawyer Kofi Bentil is talking about, zeroing the stabilization levy and the other one. Yes.
Maybe even do better.
Yes, if it gets there. Others. Yes. But we should appreciate that the taxes and levies, they are about 13. So if we have to remove 2 at a point in time, I'm sure the president and his people.
I said they should remove more. There's a challenge.
I'm sure when we get to the bridge.
So the carrying commission.
Yes, it's possible.
You see, I knew why this collaborative information sharing between Kofi Bento and
my brother
Andy this morning. I call it collaborative information sharing. You know, but that's why I needed to put it in proper perspective. You see, these taxes, if you look at it, you see, when you do taxes, you look at impact and you model it.
We are overtaxed on petroleum.
Calm down.
From the past and now.
And if you look at the impact, so Forex alone, if managed well, okay, can absorb that impact. So you can still maintain it, and Forex alone would minimize it. Do you get it? So you may not necessarily have to take it off if you can manage the forest properly.
That's right.
And that is why the conversation we are currently having is that for the second pricing window, we can get the product coming in at a rate which is relatively managed. It could be a deliberate. And that is the conversation we are currently having with the managers of the economy. It shouldn't be a problem at all. Again, President Mahama case, and that's the focus.
Now, but you see, it's the price build-up, the taxes and levies. At some point, there was this conversation among CSOs, I think 5 years ago, regarding sunset clauses.
Yes, to every law.
Taxes and levies, so that it wouldn't be an
First of all, ESLA was supposed to have ended in 5 years.
But then
once we collateralized the receivables, we decided that it should become a tax on it. Yeah. And you know the haircut. No, but the haircut is supposed to go up to 2035.
Sure.
How are you supposed to do that when the haircut has been extended to 2035?
So don't do this about that.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
There's a good side.
I've asked quite a number of questions. No, please put your video on. No.
Okay. I'm ready.
Yes, I can see you now. Quite a number of questions regarding, especially the assurance and then also the buffer, so as to ensure that for as long as this war continues, even beyond these 5 weeks we're talking about, government is prepared. Lawyer Gigi Tamaklo has given some detail, some interrogation or questions being asked about further and better particulars. regarding the plan of government, the conversation going on to cushion the Ghanaian for as long as this war lasts? How does this strike you?
Well, thank you, Alfred, and good morning to my brothers in the studio. Being on Zoom feels like jail. I was telling Abdallah earlier on that you are almost forgotten when you're on Zoom. But thank you for the opportunity to be here, even though it was at late notice that I couldn't come.
Yeah. Are you able to sit up a bit for me, please? Perfect.
Sure. Is it okay?
It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's
so Alfred, I wanted to ask a few questions, and I think that Mr. Bentall has asked them, but I just want to reiterate them. One, will this war between Iran, US, and Israel impact the prices of petroleum product at the pump? LBG has not been able to answer that question expressly. And then the second question, which I think Mr. Bentall also asked again, was whether government was going to do anything about it. And I'd like clear answers to that, because if we don't get clear answers and it's as though that this war is going to affect prices at the pump, Alfred, that will take us back to a conversation we had in 2022, where LBG and his party were vehement in stating the fact that there cannot be any way under God's sun here or on God's green earth where a war far away in Ukraine and Russia between the two people or the two countries affect anything here in our country. And so those answers, I think that LBG should be able to give us some indication what government will do, clearly to say that, yes, it's likely government will pass on whatever incidental increase that will result following the difficulties that are most likely or have already started occurring given this war. And so that we can have that interrogation, probably asking why their government cannot do anything about it to shield Ghanaians when they expected that to be done, and that despite the measures that were why they cannot do that, because they made a point that that was doable. But the other point I want to also say, when LBG has made some very open admission on that, except to go to the extent of crediting. The government is rather interested in criticizing and condemning as though we haven't done anything in the central conversation, where he admits that some about 30% of what we need globally, about 100% that we need, about 30% of that we can procure or get from Central, which is a good indication and a good admission that the former government had some foresight, and that has come in handy for us today. Beyond the price, the access of that readily here at home is a great convenience that we can depend on. So for me, the issue is clear, that just like in 2022, before the Russia-Ukraine war, I think crude was hovering somewhere around 90, 89 or so. And then in about 2 weeks, jumped to about $139, $140 per barrel. That, as LBG understands, the demand for crude or for fuel product is inelastic. And so our demand remained, but then our cost increased to the extent that we have to find twice, almost twice the amount that we spent in procuring fuel products for our country jumped. And that affected government planning and had a great impact on our forex, which then had ultimate impact on the cost of fuel at the pump. We're having a similar thing play out. And the difficulty Ediji is having in answering the question, which I think he should answer clearly, without hesitation, is that the government will, the price will be passed on to Ghanaians. And definitely it will affect prices at the pump. What we did, they will also be able to do, perhaps among other things. I think he's making an argument about a securitization of the ESLA handle, but also the challenge with that, I think we can have a conversation about it. But one thing that is clear that they can also do today is that the devil levy that they put on the 1 cedi devil levy that they put on fuel prices can also be gone, but be taken out if they come to the point of passing the effect onto Ghanaians. Okay. And so, Alfred, my submission here is that this government must make some clear admissions. And then they must be humble enough, and everybody in the studio must be humble enough to appreciate and not argue the fact. Because I hear him saying that they didn't make this argument in 2022. That cannot be. He cannot convince anybody in that studio, including his own self, that they didn't make this argument. They made that argument that how is it that Russia-Ukraine war far away will affect prices or cost of living in Ghana. They must look at it and then be able to cushion Ghanaians. In fact, in addition to some suspension of, the tax regime on petroleum product, I think the Akufo-Addo administration, following the impact in 2022, took steps to increase the base pay of workers by some 15%. That's also a way to increase people's disposable income to be able to cushion them in light of the impact on fuel prices, which naturally will cascade across the economy. So they must also look at that, because the measly 9% increase that they have done is nothing to write about, given the imminent challenges that we're going to face. And Alfred, and that brings again in focus what we've been talking about the past 2 or 3 weeks with respect to cocoa farmers. Also, with this imminent increase in cost of fuel, that will have a devastating impact on cocoa farmers whose incomes have been slashed by some 28.6%, 29% historic. And that the government must also be advised at this juncture to look at the good and sound advice that has come from the Catholic Bishop Conference to look at reinstating the original price of 3,625, and we support the Catholic Bishop Conference in making that call. I think government must take a look at it. Otherwise, farmers, cocoa farmers, and farmers in general will be impoverished beyond reason, given the impact of fuel prices, which is imminent. Whether everybody wants to admit it or not, that is imminent on the horizon. It's going to happen. Okay. Cost of fuel is going to go up, going to impact life in Ghana. So government must take some measure to cushion Ghanaians, all workers in Ghana, but especially cocoa farmers who have been slashed, whose incomes have been slashed by government's own recklessness. I think that needs to be looked at. Right. And that is where we can start a conversation. But first of all, also, in addition, the government and the NDC must admit the extreme politics they did with fuel prices in 2022 and all the way through 2024, where we talked about the impact of Russia-Ukraine on our economy and how it affected cost of living in our country.
Well, on this particular point that you made, and this is why I bring Professor Jampo, beyond the picture painted now, Prof. For example, on where we get our crude, the assurance is that even beyond these reserves, there's something more that is in stock and then also the thinking about mitigating the impact that it would have on consumers as well going forward, Prof. Direct assurances, you said?
Direct assurances, you see, the essence of, in Thomas Hobbes's terms, the essence for which the Leviathan was set up was to confront and solve problems. The essence of governance, the essence, the reason why a government is oftentimes instituted is to ensure that problems are solved. Now, in the lead up to elections, governments or will-be government would always identify problems and proffer or articulate policies and programs that will serve to address some of the problems they may have identified in the lead up to they being elected to office. But in the course of governance, there may also be unforeseen problems. In the course of governance, there may be unforeseen problems, like we are encountering now. Now, the world is a global village, and whatever happens anywhere necessarily would likely impact all of us, everywhere. In my view, how the problem is managed, how the unforeseen contingencies gets managed by the government of the day would show leadership. How we weather the storm would show our commitment to helping our people and the extent of our selflessness, and then how we show ingenuity in by not blaming everything happening on us to happenings outside, but also addressing the local challenges that tend to exacerbate the problems that may have occurred as a result of what is happening outside, would show that we are serious, a government, or we are not serious in government. Now, in my view, judging from what I've heard, judging from the assurances that have been given, and then judging from how this government has run the country from, for the past 1 year, I am inclined to believe that, yes, there are problems, but the government will be able to weather the storm. And for me, that is what is important. Whether we like it or not, we would always be hit by unforeseen contingencies. But how the government owns up to say that, yes, this is the challenge, and these are the things that I'm doing to address, to mitigate the challenge, for me is crucial. It is disingenuous to always be confronted with a challenge and then want to blame everyone other than yourself. You don't show ingenuity, in governance. Yes, there are things that may have happened, outside. But today we are sitting here, we are talking about the need for certain taxes to be reduced and then removed, and then the assurance that there are some reserves, and then the view that those reserves should be sold, not taking into consideration what is happening. I mean, if you bought it a certain rate, you should make sure that at least you deplete it before you think about increasing and all. I think that for me, these are assuring and these are refreshing statements to come from a government that cares. So generally, that is my position, that's my view. The essence of governance is to solve problems. And so if you get a government that is confronted with an unforeseen contingency and would want to throw its hand in the air, in despair, and would always want to say that it is something happening outside, something happening outside. Yes, we know that it is something happening outside that is causing the problem. But how are we addressing that kind of thing happening outside? If that narrative is not factored in the discussion, then you have failed as a government. And so for me, I'm interested in the kinds of things that are being put in place to mitigate the challenges or what is going on, outside, because it is it's affecting, everybody,
which we have
in the
no
globe.
control over, as a matter of fact.
We don't have control over those things, but we would have a certain control about how we put in place mechanisms and interventions that would sort of pushing the people so that we don't we don't expose ourselves and our people so much to the hardships that some of these unforeseen contingencies may have caused. And I think so far I'm quite elated listening to government functionaries and top officials handling some of these things, the kinds of things that they have said. Unfortunately, this is Ghana, and this is how we do our politics. Some may want to cash in and say that we too. In fact, I met some group of politicians. Some of them were just expressing happiness that yes, they thought that they were doing so well. This thing has hit them, and I'm saying that look, we should grow out of this kind of politicking that we do, because in my view, if a government is able to do well in alleviating challenges of the people, if a government is able to do well in bringing about development, we all serve to gain. Last week I was saying that all politicians, regardless of their partisan coloration, they buy fuel and they know how much it costs.
No, they don't buy fuel. Government gives them fuel.
I said all politicians, regardless
the
of
ones
their
in government, they get free
partisan coloration, they buy fuel. Oh, stop interjecting. So,
Go and check.
You know, he's deliberately trying to.
Okay, yes, President Mahama introduced a directive that ministers and deputy ministers should buy their own fuel. Please check that one too. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's my friend. The point I'm trying to make is that, you see, clearly, you see, with the few words that have been articulated by the government of the day, I think Ghanaians are cushioned, or Ghanaians are refreshed, and we have a certain confidence that regardless of the severity of the challenge, you have a government that is willing to put in place certain interventions and mechanisms that will ensure that they don't face the harsh reality and the harsh challenge that is occasioned by the war. But you see, on the war that is going on, I've always argued that it appears that the international community, particularly the leadership of international community, they have a feature that, in my view, typifies them as many Ghanaians. What do I mean? When something is going on and it is bad, everybody decides to keep quiet and then allow one person to behave or to conduct himself anyhow. And then when there is challenge, you can see behind the scenes they are all complaining. That's how Ghanaians we behave. We fail to speak up, and when there are issues, we like to gossip about them behind the scenes. And those who are articulate, or those who have the willpower and want to talk about it such that it gets attention to be addressed, you brand them as too known, you brand them as with all manner of names. And that's what's happening in the international community. I know there are so many countries and the leaders who are not happy about what is going on. But when it started, instead of them talking, they just kept quiet. And now we've gotten to where we are. Be that as it may, I trust that this government of President Mahama would be able to put in place mitigations and interventions that will help cushion the good people of Ghana. Because after all, the essence of putting in place government is to solve problems.
Okay. Well, at this point, you as any progressive government, you have to be thinking about how to put some measures in place to insulate your economy from geopolitical shocks, because it's going to happen.
Absolutely. You see, and on the specific issue of petroleum, again, because of some of the work we do as analysts, these things were discussed. When Dangote put up the refinery, okay, in fact, he was resisted seriously by the West generally.
True.
Okay, because a lot of West African crude and even finished products coming from Holland and they knew he was going to block it. He had massive problems. We can't go into that. From Nigeria, from us, from everywhere. When that guy managed to put that thing there, I respected him even more. Why? Why? Because all of a sudden the analysis shows that West Africa can become self-sufficient both in crude supply and finished product supply.
True.
Okay, now, if you take Ghana, with Central with Tor coming online and also linking up with Dangote, we do not have to import finished products. Now,
when you say import from Europe,
from Europe, I'm talking about West Africa.
Yes.
West Africa does not have to. I'm saying this because before this war, these pieces were in place. All right, and like Prof just said, governments have set up to solve problems. Okay, our crude, our refining, Dangote refining, Nigeria's crude running around the sub-region. You can't stop foreign wars, but you can stop them from affecting you. So indeed, this will be a test. This is the only government that has come into a situation like this where the parts are in place to make sure that we don't have these problems going forward. The rest is policy. And honestly, look, it has been a week. Everybody in this space knows that when a bomb is thrown and the Strait of Hormuz is in question, prices will go off and everything. So at least the policy articulation should have happened by now. That worries me.
No,
but from what I have heard, let me land, I beg my brother. From what I have heard, the things are in place. Prof just says, this is our job, we have to solve the problems. I'm sincerely praying that we'll find a way out of this. Look, I'm not one of the people who are wishing them ill. When these things happen, politicians are politicians. Politics is like football. When the other side is losing their captain, you are happy. But there's a proverb that says,
you as a governance person, you cannot play into that.
But that's what I'm telling you. I'm saying that I am not in that space. That's what I'm saying. I am not in that space. I'm just simply saying.
Allow me to do something to you.
No, I haven't done anything to you. So let's settle out the politicians as if they are playing a game. Okay? But those of us who can speak generally, let's speak and say, if it works well for this country, it works well for all of us. I really want to
learn something from it.
No, but that's the point of if there is anything anybody can do to make this possibility on paper that we will not need to rely on Rotterdam for our fuel supplies and that our crude and our refining capacity can keep our prices stable, let us do it. Let us all help do it.
Perfect. Thank you very much for this. And
Can I,
was a question about policy direction.
Yes,
quickly.
I listened also to my senior brother Richard Ahiagba make the point and trying to say that it's like I told you so. As usual, no, hold on. As usual, our brothers have been on the touchline, hoping and praying that there will be a basis for equalization. I've seen their Facebook posts and all the things that they see, and you can see some spirited, excitement, political libidinal excitement among others, All those things are present.
If you gave me the chance, I was going to talk about.
Senior, hold on.
No, I'm for it. You are talking political libidinal and whatever it is.
Please allow me.
You want him to make political libidinal? I have a better point to make.
Hold on. Let me conclude, Senior.
This goal that we
will come there.
Why not allow him? That point you want to make, I'll come you.
The libidinal issues. Stop those things.
We'll come there. But you see, the point I am making is that we have been very proactive on this matter. I made the point that my sector minister, the Honorable Jinapo, is keeping his eyes and he's whipped all of us, all agencies under him that have something to do with how to get things better for our people. He's whipped all of us in line. And let me also say that we will not play politics with this issue.
You can.
You can. No, we will not. We'll put the bare fact, and we'll also assure Ghanaians that as a responsible government, these are the interventions we are putting in place to minimize the impact. We do not say there wouldn't be any impact, but as a government, we have a responsibility. Which responsibility is to ensure that if the full impact of the thing will be 100%, we'll bring it to 60, we'll bring it to 50. We'll bring it to 40. That is what governance is about. And so once I say that President Mahama cares, it is anchored on deliberately ensuring that we get these things right. We will not for a minute say that things that happen, exogenous factors, will run away from Ivory Coast, Burkina, and only come to Ghana. We won't do that.
Right.
What happened in the past, if you recall, when Minister Setekwe read the budget of 2014-2015, and suddenly crude prices fell from $85 to $40, it impacted on government revenue. And at that time, when we anchored that conversation on the impact of exogenous factors, you remember, in one of the distinguished lecture series, when the point was made that it is not because of those exogenous factors, but it is the reckless mismanagement of the economy. That is why Ivory Coast is not having those impacts, and we are the ones having it. And I remember vividly, when President Mahama went to Harvard and spoke on the impact of COVID-19, he alluded to the fact that globally, COVID had impacted on our economy.
Thank you.
But was quick to provide a caveat. They said, look, however, in the specific case of Ghana, we finished the 2020 election with a budget deficit of 15%, the highest in the whole of West Africa. Was it the case that somebody wanted to win election at all costs and therefore spent as though there was no tomorrow? And that is what has exacerbated whatever impact there would have been with COVID-19. Those were how we structured and framed the conversation at that time. It was not the case of the NDC that there was no impact whatsoever. We were saying that could it have been mitigated if we were prudent with the management of our economy.
Okay.
Two, the exposure on our forex. I mean, and Kofi had given a hint that would dovetail the conversation into how government deliberation had brought the forex rate. It is not like manna, with respect, from heaven that just happened. Can you imagine all of this happening with the CD at 17? That's how you structure. And thankfully, it's from the policy space. And I appreciate this thing better than I do, that proper intervention provides stability. And that stability has a ripple effect on Ghanaians. And that is how I anchored Mahama Cares.
Okay.
That deliberation, intentional government policies.
That stability also been hinged directly, we see, on that gold policy, directly anchored and centralized on Gold Board. We've seen over 90% of the gold that we export being bought by Dubai and India. Dubai has been hit by this conflict, and so from what I just read on the Reuters news agency that there's a source in Gold Board telling them that there's going to be a lot more focus on refining the gold locally, because there's already some partnership in place with Gold Coast Refinery and so on. So that's the thinking going forward. You know, we made a brief point earlier about this whole conversation about independence and adding value, the value addition to our natural resources. Okay, because already we've seen government tinkering with the idea of 50% retention of our cocoa beans so that it will be processed locally. So there's a direction. Mr. Yakubi, we'll see this going, and maybe we'll get clarity on that CPC thing.
The lessons that I learned from this impasse is that we need to process more of our crude in Ghana. And I'm happy that Tor is already taking the lead in doing this. And I will want to use the opportunity to also invite more Ghanaians, put yourselves together in partnerships, look at the energy sector and see we can create another Dangote in people put together, not necessarily one person being a Dangote. But and luckily, my good friend Ediji is here to promote this cause. And it will be interesting to find members of this panel, 2 or 3 of us, putting ourselves together into the energy sector. With the support of, he doesn't need to find the money. He needs to.
You only need people who will trust Kofi and keep their money with him.
He needs to promote the concept.
Yes.
And also facilitate the registration.
Absolutely.
And then we will look for the money and do more. In fact, what this energy crisis is telling us is that we have to be self-sufficient within West Africa. We have the potential to do that. And let it not slip into the hands of other people who are not West Africans. One thing I've observed also in Ghana is that everybody wants to speak like, I own this. Not many people in Ghana want to say, I am part of this. So this culture must change into, I am part of the creation of this. Because some of the things you can't create all by yourself.
True.
So we should be brothers and brothers keepers and brothers working together. So on this note, I'll promote, I was the investment promoter, so I'll continue. This is an opportunity. When you see a problem, don't only concentrate on the problem, look behind it. There's always a solution that is a benefit behind it. And let this also bring us a platform to bring people together and solve a problem that will solve problems of tomorrow. And then the energy sector will be richer by the intervention of West Africans into production and safeguarding our heritage.
And that value, on that same part of the value addition, to the extent that these geopolitical tensions or the
because the crude, most of them are still being
becoming
exported.
a norm now. So
hello?
The way to go, inward-looking, value addition to our natural resources, as we are seeing that policy drive now.
Before
Maybe a quick one.
Most of the crude produced from West Africa are still being exported. Let us target those crude and process them in West
government
Africa
policy
to solve our problems.
Ghana is not refining its crude.
We cannot leave that to government alone. Private sector intervention, and Dangote has proved us right.
So we've seen what Centio you referred to is doing and all of that.
that
other
conversation,
factors.
whether we process our own crude, for instance, at my current pay grade is beyond me.
Okay,
we'll leave that one.
Since we're having this discussion, it's just necessary to
the policy people.
The people who are mining our crude are not government institutions.
They're private.
They have a contract, Tolo and Co., they pick the crude. They have done forward sales and whatever it is. So they're exporting the crude per their arrangements. Now, what we failed to do at that time was to arrange it such that we would have... But we didn't have Tor. Tor was messed up, and Dangote wasn't ready. I made a point, but I had to leave it. Point is, this is the only time we have had within Ghana 2 refineries working, and within the sub-region, Dangote. So if we had this around that time, we should have arranged our contract such that
it is possible.
I'm coming. You see, we didn't have that at the time. So you can't blame the people for doing what they did. But now that we have it, this is the reason why you change policy. If these contracts end, this should advise whoever is going to do some of those things that we will refine our crude here. That is how we cut ourselves from some of the shocks.
And that's how we create employment.
Thank you. Change policy.
And that's how we create employment.
Yeah, to value addition.
Okay.
Quickly.
Yeah,
because we see it playing out in various areas.
Yes, okay. This is not the first time. When you do Cons 101, they always say that, look, Ghana's economy, and not only Ghana, a lot of the world, we always have cyclical problems, right? If it's not cocoa today, tomorrow it will be gold. If it's not gold, then it will be crude oil, stemming from these wars, the Iraqi war, etc. in the past. So we've had these conversations over and over, and each time it comes up, then it's like, oh yes, let's ramp up value addition, let's do self-sufficiency. Then after a while, everything goes back to business as normal, as usual. So what I would say is that, well, this time the difference is that we've become more savvy as a society. In terms of, if you look at the literacy rates since the Constitution 1992, you can see that now we are quite a different country from 1992. So the politicians need to sit up. It shouldn't be that we'll have this conversation 2-3 weeks. The moment the Strait of Hormuz is opened and everything comes to normal, then we go back to sleep. No. Look, elsewhere, and let me show you, when governments mean business. Let me give you a typical example in the U.S. You see where Talo and Co come from. In the North Sea currently, right? When the conservatives were living, as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war, they implemented what they call a wind tax for, A
windfall tax.
Windfall tax, or the energy profit levy in 2022. They wanted to use that money to cushion the ordinary households, okay, in the UK, because, you know, the prices went up. Ghana, we also suffered it, right? Long story short, after the prices leveled out, when the prices came down, etc., even the current Labour came in. They didn't withdraw the tax. The oil companies in the North Sea are crying blood every time. Look, every time I open my email, because I'm studying the North Sea, every day you see one story or the other on the North Sea. Is the windfall tax going? It is gone. It won't come again. Every day, look, even if you check Donald Trump is spoken about the North Sea last year, like 5 times. Even this year, when he was talking about this war, 3 days ago, he brought in the day he was criticizing Keir Starmer for not joining him, not supporting. He said, Starmer is there, his policies are even bad. He's rendered the North Sea useless, etc. My main point is that a tax that was brought when prices were high in 2022, they've kept it. Their main thing to help their citizens, right?
Yeah.
And then also to transform, and this is the main part of my point, to transform their energy consumption or production structure. They are going into renewables. So they say they are positioning themselves as world leaders in renewables.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that, you see, that Russia-Ukraine war, what it brought them, they saw how Russia tried to weaponize the supply of oil and gas. So the moment they left it, they said, look, we would win ourselves off this. You know how Europe itself, yes, the Europeans are also...
Drill, baby, drill.
Excellent. And the Europeans are ramping up on renewables. So my point is that from 2022, they didn't say, oh, prices have come down, so forget the renewables drive. No, that is what they are doing. Notwithstanding the oil companies at the throat of the government, insulting them left, right, center, getting Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been their biggest ambassador. He's been hammering Starmer. Look, even if you read Trump's speech at the UN last year, even at the UN, he brought that matter up. If you check last year, they met Starmer about 3 times. He went to the UK. Each time he brought it up. As I mentioned 3 days ago, even this Israel-US war against Iran, he brought it up. So the point is that when the government sees that, look, we've been beaten once, we shouldn't wait to be beaten another time. So this conversation, let's diversify. I've heard it too many times. I've heard it too many times.
Senior. What do you make of when Minister Atoforsin, for instance, says that the convention has been to keep 4 months of import cover? As finance minister, he wants to leave an economy that is so well diversified that we can have 15 months of import cover. We are building on the mistakes of the past. If we can have 15 months of import cover by diversifying even the reserve that we have and provide the needed buffers, that's what governance is. It's the lessons of the past
the reason
that
why
is shaping some of these interventions.
This point is crucial, and then also the point about change in policy direction.
So this one, Dubai, is not directly answering our reliance on fossil fuels. So I'm talking about our reliance on fossil fuels. That other countries have realigned that, look, they are going renewables, full throttle, and oil companies are paying, crying. But they said, no, we'll have nothing of it. And they are directly on fossil fuel, renewables. So they are shifting. These are things, like you go back to the UK, you hear the rooftop revolution. They put solar panels over all, I mean, not all, a lot of roofs, the universities, etc. They say that is where they are going. Damn the oil companies and their lobbies. So that's what I'm talking about. That this conversation we are having here, that we want to diversify, want to do. It shouldn't be something that 2 years from now we'll come back and it's the same conversation and we wouldn't have seen any structural change. So structural change. So as a policy, yes, Minister for Energy and Green Transition. I think I've mentioned it once before.
Do you know why President Mahama changed the name from Energy Simplicity to Energy and Green Transition?
It's obvious that the world is going renewables.
Exactly.
But
So
as citizens, we've not been carried along. So I've mentioned it before. Maybe Jinapo needs to come, roll out the proper policy for us to see what are the targets by this year. So maybe 10 years from now, we would have reduced our reliance on fossil fuels and rather increase renewables by maybe 40%, etc. Like I say, in the UK, you see their targets. that by this and this date it's 50%,
Absolutely.
and then by this other date it's 100%.
So it's the policy clarity that you need going forward, which is important. And also because of all the dynamics of what we are seeing globally, this conversation about changing policy and then also that deliberate approach to value addition and so on should not end after this crisis situation. Because what we are seeing now is that, yes, crude oil prices, as we have seen now, trending upwards, it has its direct impact on the economy. And that's what we've spent quite some time talking about. But then Richard Ayagba also introduced cocoa. But you see, cocoa, the situation is different. We've seen cocoa prices trend downwards, and it's also having a direct impact on us. So even though all of these natural resources are produced here, we are being hit by what is happening externally. And that whole policy direction of now government thinking about retaining 50% of the cocoa beans that we produce so we can add value to it. Mr. Bento, a couple of weeks ago, referenced the situation with the cocoa processing company, CPC, as we have it now. It is not looking good as we speak.
All government
and so if we're talking about value addition, we've talked about TOR coming back on stream. It still needs reinvestment and retooling. And then CPC now, which it will actually lead the process if government goes ahead to implement this 50% in collaboration with the private sector. We want to understand exactly what's going on. And because Richard Ayagba referenced cocoa in a bit, Wisdom Dogbe is the Chief Executive Officer of the Cocoa Marketing Company, the Managing Director of the Cocoa Marketing Company. He's joining us on Zoom briefly for some responses to this. Mr. Dogbe, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, quickly. Because of this picture that Cocoa Processing Company finds itself in, at least for the fiscal year ended September 30, there was a net loss of $11.47 million. It's not looking good. What exactly is going to be the role of CPC in this entire value addition conversation?
All right, good morning to you, Alfred, and good morning to your cherished viewers and the distinguished panel. My thoughts and prayers are with our gallant soldiers serving on peacekeeping missions to Lebanon. My dad and my big brothers, they served in that particular mission, so I can somehow relate. Look, I get excited talking about the Value Addition Initiative. The economic case for this is very compelling. CPC has about 64,000 metric tons installed capacity currently, but in recent times, they have only been able to utilize just about 10% of that capacity. Of course, for this local processing to work, there has to be some investments so that all that capacity can be utilized. And I know CPC is pursuing a strategy to bring in the necessary investment, but all other things being equal, derivatives like cocoa mass and cocoa butter, they command prices almost double that of raw cocoa beans. And so for the most part, Ghana is leaving significant value on the table whenever we export raw cocoa beans. That is why I believe, and I agree that this is the right direction we have to go as a nation to add value to our cocoa before we export. Now, CMC, leveraging the vision of His Excellency, the President, we took the lead in initiating a feasibility study called Project Elevate last year on local processing, and I expect that it will play a central role in facilitating the government's 50% domestic processing mandate.
I see. But then again, what I want to understand is because CPC, they'll need some, obviously you've indicated what you have initiated going forward and some reinvestment as well, as we talked about in the case of TOR as well, some kind of retooling. What role will the private processors already in the business play in this whole policy of value addition, 50% cocoa beans retention that the finance minister talked about?
Alfred, we're working very closely with CPC, WAMCO, and other private processors, as you mentioned, to ensure that a greater share of Ghana's cocoa crop is processed locally before we export as mandated. And I believe the private processors who operate here locally, they would also have a role to play in this mandate. We have about 500,000 tons of installed capacity in the country. With a mandate to process at least 50%, CPC alone may not be able to process all of that in the first year. And that is why the local private processors, I believe they would not be left behind in this initiative. Now, the benefits are wide-ranging. Not only are we able to bring in more foreign exchange, but also the skills, and the technology transfer to the Ghanaian workforce, additional tax revenue as more processing facilities are established, and existing factories that will be retooled, to operate at full capacity, and growth in the broader cocoa services economy, from logistics and packaging to engineering and quality assurance. Alfred, this is about an entire ecosystem that benefits the Ghanaian farmer and the nation as a whole, not just selling a raw commodity. Of course, there are challenges that we have to overcome. Factory capacity utilization is one of them, financing for expansion, and also ensure cost competitiveness. But CMC is well positioned to coordinate supply to processors and to manage bean cost recovery frameworks and link processing output to international markets.
I see. Thank you very much for this. And I'm going to come to you. But before I let you go, since I have you, we've seen the cocoa prices still trending downwards. And we're going to put on the screen $3,230 a ton now. And the main explanation that the finance minister gave for the cut in the cocoa prices that eventually affected the farmer, which Richard Ayagba referenced, is that at that time, our cocoa beans was quite expensive, and so the buyers were not looking our way. Since we reduced the prices as per policy, have the off-takers or the buyers looked our way? Have we been able to sell the stock?
Yeah, on the issue of government's decision to cut the farm gate price, Alfred, let me begin by first of all, acknowledging the reality that cocoa farmers face. And I want to assure that the welfare of the Ghanaian cocoa farmer remains at the center stage of every decision we make. And Alfred, we need to mention this. It is worth noting that the foresight shown by His Excellency, the President Mahama, in taking the bold and unprecedented step of reducing Ghana's farm gate price, it was a difficult decision, but it was one of the most critical measures needed, to address decades-old structural challenges of the sector, and also to fix Cocoa Board's financial challenges and reset the industry in the best interests of the farmers and the nation. The finance minister and the president's decisive action that restored market confidence, enabling us as CMC to sell additional stock and generate liquidity that is critical to start paying the license buying companies. This is leadership with courage and conviction, Alfred.
I see, but then again, we are faced with a challenge now. Côte d'Ivoire has reduced their prices, okay? And that means that, there is that clear incentive and the policy direction to also get the buyers to look their way. But now the Ghanaian farmer, if the mid-crop change in price is implemented, will be any more than the Côte d'Ivoire farmer. But then again, what challenges does this pose from where you sit, from the buyer perspective, and then also the possibility of smuggling, as we've seen? Quickly.
Look, Côte d'Ivoire's decision to reduce its farm gate price to 1,200 CFA per kilogram, for the remainder of the season, that has created a price differential of approximately about 1,100 cedis per bag in favor of Ghana. And Alfred, though this reflects the strength of Ghana's commitment to its farmers, it also creates an incentive for cross-border smuggling of cocoa into Ghana. Now, the risks are twofold. The first one is an influx of unverified beans, which threatens the quality premium that Ghana's cocoa commands on the global stage. And secondly, financing unplanned purchases That also puts some pressure on the liquidity required, to sustain cocoa board's operations against a production target of 650,000 metric tons as forecasted for the 25-26 season. Now, both countries are actively collaborating to, protect our borders. There are ongoing bilateral discussions, and after there are sanctions that would apply to anyone found engaging in cocoa smuggling.
Okay. Dr. Dogbe, thank you very much for joining us and for this quick intervention and then also some clarity to the issues that were put out. Thank you for joining us.
Alfred, I would want to give a quick outlook for the next crop, if you have a minute for it.
Quick one, quickly.
All right, we're working on hard on getting out of the woods in terms of current challenges. The cocoa industry is finding its footing, at current price levels, and buyers are beginning to re-engage after an extended period of demand destruction, that is driven by historically high prices. Now, it is very important to understand that the current oversupply situation is not about overproduction. It is about suppressed demand. And here's what I mean. At the peak of the price spike somewhere in 2024, the chocolate manufacturers, they responded by reformulating their recipes and turning to cocoa butter alternatives, using what we call CBS for short. However, consumer feedback has been very clear that chocolates made with CBS simply do not taste like rich chocolate. So that consumer preference is the strongest guarantee for cocoa's future. Now, as prices stabilize at commercially viable levels, we fully expect demand to recover. But because of the liquidity challenges that we face in this season, I don't expect that farmers will have enough left to reinvest in their farms. So production may not necessarily go up next season, but demand is expected to see an uptick. Look, cocoa will remain an essential and irreplaceable ingredient in manufacturing chocolates and the like. And so the expectation or the outlook, for the next season is one of cautious optimism, and CMC and Cocoa Board, we are positioning Ghana's sales program accordingly.
Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, thank you for joining us with this intervention and this clarity. He's a managing director of the CMC. Mr. Bento, you wanted to make a quick intervention?
There's a lot to say there. Hello, Alfred.
Mr. Bento will make a point. I'll come to you briefly. Yes.
Unfortunately, there's not good news for cocoa. In fact, I'll start with what he just ended up saying, that there are substitutes for cocoa.
Yes.
In 1990, in the Department of Geography, in the Rural Resource Development class, it was taught by Professor George Bennett of blessed memory, and I was in that class. We learned that substitute to cocoa had been developed. 1990, right? Now, it played all the way down to a point where they had to make some rules for the minimum amount of chocolate or cocoa that has to be in chocolate for you to be able to call it chocolate. What I'm saying is this. He made a point that there's a problem with the cocoa price coming down, and it's not because of anything. It's suppressed demand.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is because there's a substitute now that they are using. They developed it way back then. But there are three problems now. One is the substitution. The other one is that you have a situation where today, ask the cocoa farmer here, if you study cocoa farmers, almost none of them do only cocoa farming. They do cocoa farming and a number of other things. And you have a situation where there's pressure on cocoa farming. One of the biggest pressures is galamsey, and we are not solving the galamsey problem. That is going to dip it even further. Okay? Then there's a third problem, which is a very serious problem. Cocoa farming has gone into plantation farming, and more countries that did not even produce cocoa in Southern America, okay, and even China, have started producing cocoa.
Brazil, I think, is one of the top.
So here's the conclusion of the matter. Unfortunately, cocoa is going to continue to go down. It's unfortunate. But what that means is, if you do the analysis, I intentionally talked about 1990 class, which I sat in, where in this country, so these things were known, okay? You have a situation now where the CPC, the government institutions handling cocoa are all failing. Cocoa Board, CPC, and all, they are all failing. The private institutions, for instance, the processors that Andy and Co brought, they are succeeding. We need a rethink of our cocoa industry and to put the kinds of energies in it that will energize it so that it starts going up. What we are doing, if you look at your graph, is just coming down, 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 down. Okay? Unless something drastic happens, I don't see this thing changing. And we've been saying this thing over and over and over and over again, but it doesn't look like any major shift is being done. We are doing the same things and expecting that something will change. It won't change.
So this 50% cocoa beans retention for value addition,
it's a
policy?
very, very, very good policy, but other things must follow the policy.
Right. Okay.
Policy has to be coherent. Now, I even think we should ban the export of raw beans. You know what we will do? It will force us to add value. It will force more.
No, they are immediate.
You have to be ready.
Livelihoods dependent on it.
No. It's cocoa that is selling beans.
A sharp.
Hear me. Proceed. You see, when it comes to policy, you articulate the policy, you write it out. If we give ourselves 5 years, give yourself even 10 years, and say on the 10th anniversary, we are banning this thing. Over the period, you build up towards it so that we are actually processing 100% of our beans. And processing beans is not rocket science. It's grinding and a few things. Okay, you will find a situation where now we create such an energy in the industry where we will start calling the shots. Between we two countries, we and Cote d'Ivoire, we are doing 75% of the world's cocoa and we don't control anything. 65. It has been going down for over a decade. And we are not doing anything serious to change it. So wishful thinking is not going to solve the cocoa problem in Ghana. And unfortunately, it will come to a point where, in fact, I don't think Ghana is going to retain its position in cocoa. We are not. We are going to watch it. Mark today, come back in 4 years. We will drop from where we are.
Right.
That is what it's looking like.
I want to introduce 3 concepts in the cocoa value chain.
If you can kindly hold on a bit on that point for me. Mr. Yagba, we'll quickly kindly hold on a bit on that. Mr. Yagba, yes. Mr. Yagba, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, Alfred, thank you, Mark. Yes. So thank you very much. In fact, I'd wanted Mr. Dugbe to have stayed on the line a little bit. But the point I want to ask him a question. Maybe if he hears, he can send us a report, the answer. This whole thing about 50%, okay, it sounds good, but then I wanted to hear from him in retaining 50% here in Ghana, which is a good policy in terms of value addition, job creation, and all of that. It sounds good. But the conversation we're having right now is about the cocoa farmer, right? How would retaining 50%, okay, part of the policy reform that government is thinking about, how is that going to affect the price, the bottom line for the cocoa farmer? Well, how is that going to ensure that they're getting better prices? I don't see it. Maybe he can come back and tell us. But he made a point, and I think Mr. Bento was going to go there, but he kind of talked about aspect of it. You see, he says that next season, perhaps, because cocoa farmers have been shortchanged gravely by government's lack of foresight and incompetence in leveraging the market when they had to, he made a point that production is likely to go down. Now, when production goes down, imagine the impact on rural economy and the larger economy. The cocoa and forex, okay, relations for our economy, that aspect is going to go, okay? We're going to suffer foreign exchange earnings as a result of that. Now, look at the local economy or the rural economy, how that is going to impact farmers. Right now, we're talking about 28% cut in their income, which nobody is doing anything about, which this government by policy is determined not to reverse. And so therefore, farmers are taking this haircut and they're left alone to their own devices. Now, we are looking at a possible worsening of that situation because of this. So we're looking at a present loss of income, but going into the future by the admission of my brother Dogwe, means that the cascading effect of this is yet to unfold, that the rural economy is going to be devastated. And then the point about galamsey becoming attractive, the option of galamsey becoming attractive, where farmers may probably succumb to the pressure, which we know exists from galamseyers, to take over cocoa farms to extract gold, is going to look increasingly more attractive. Then we are saying that what is this government doing to cocoa farmers and to our economy? Because what we have now is a policy position that says that if cocoa prices go down on the world market, this government of Ghana would reduce the price. And that, for me, is evidence of lack of strategic thinking, seeing that cocoa has a strategic value for the country. They fail to appreciate that. And therefore now are in the policy mood to always reduce cocoa price, because by virtue of what they have done now, it follows that once the price continues to go down, they would continue to do that, because that's the logic they use to justify this price cut or this haircut. Now, the most egregious thing, I'm coming.
Yes.
The most egregious thing, okay, in my view, is the attempt being made now to compare the sale of cocoa in Ghana directly to Ivory Coast, as though that Ghanaian cocoa farmers are Ivorians. We are Ghanaians. We need to appreciate the context in which we're having this conversation. All things held equal here in Ghana, our cost of living conditions the same as it is in Ivory Coast, the same way as it is in Ghana. So those two items are simply different. And so therefore this attempt by the NDC to ship all of us to Ivory Coast as if we must become citizens there and assume that our cocoa farmers are better off simply because Ivory Coast has chosen to reduce their prices. For me, it doesn't make strategic sense. It doesn't make national sense. Yet we are told by Edwiji that President Mahama cares. How about the cocoa farmer? President Mahama doesn't care about them? Is that what Edwiji is saying? So therefore he can give them a haircut? Is that what he's saying?
Well, he wants
so
to respond to you since you're asking that direct question. I see.
Sorry, I'm coming. He will answer that, but let me conclude for you. So I'm saying that anytime we ask that you deal fairly with the cocoa farmer, we are told that Ivorians have reduced it. Did Ghanaians vote for the Ivorian president, or they voted for John Mahama? Who Edwiji says cares? And if President Mahama cares, why is he not caring for the cocoa farmer? And when it comes to the cocoa farmer, they say we should look at Ivory Coast, Lassana Ouattara, who Ghanaians didn't vote for.
I see. Well,
therefore, what decision
yes.
on the cocoa farmer?
I see.
In Ghana, we are in Ghana, so we should stop this thing about comparing Ghana to Ivory Coast because they have cut their prices. So therefore, we have found some safe landing for the Ghanaian cocoa farmer.
I see.
The price will be reversed.
At some point,
the price must be restored. The wisdom in restoring the price is actually captured by what Mr. Dokwe just said.
Okay.
Price, production is likely to go down. To avert that, to avert the drop in cocoa production next season, the price must be reinstated now to give farmers the comfort of continuing to prioritize cocoa over all other options they have.
I see.
Farming
great. To the extent that, you see, we are not, well, I'll come to you. This cocoa situation is not an isolated one. And the reason why I reference, or you hear that, not just me, but the conversation, at some point you, yourself, you referenced the Côte d'Ivoire situation 2 weeks ago when you were here. Because at the time, Côte d'Ivoire prices were just a little higher than Ghana. But now as it's gone down, the reference has become a problem. But then again, Mr. Apiakubi, you said there's no politics in this.
Ghanaians voted for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, not for the president of Ivory Coast. And so if there are difficulties,
let's do this cocoa politics.
My brother,
in a let's
identify the industry problems.
That allows the average, allows the average cocoa farmer to appreciate the issue. Now, in the beginning of the crop season, government of Ghana had given a clear indication through Cocoa Board, through purchases by cocoa marketing company, that we're going to do a little over 600,000 metric tons of cocoa. Now, government of Ghana, through Cocoa Board, had purchased 92%, from 82 to 92% of the cocoa at the price that Richard Anyagba wanted, left with only 50,000 to be purchased. then government introduces a new pricing regime. So the cocoa farmer has benefited 92% in terms of the overall crop on the old price that Richard wants. It is only 50,000 metric tons left. That is where the differentials came in. That is a caring government. Do you know why today, interestingly enough, my brother Richard Anyagban currently doesn't see Ivory Coast as a reference point? Shocking. Ivory Coast was the point of reference. They told us that Ghanaians voted for Ouattara. And so President Mahama should be Ouattara. Now Ouattara is low. They say no. Ouattara is no good. I mean, look, Richard, I know you want to be a vice chair of the NPP. You have Chairman Buga to contend. That's a good contender for you.
Too much on this matter. Hey.
Look, Look, I won't allow anything like we are not interested. Cocoa is politics. And we have to structure the political conversation. Where from this business of haircuts? 92% of purchases have already been done by my brother Richard Wisdom Dobe. Left with 50,000. So the old pricing affected only the 50,000. Why are you not emphasizing the 92% that was purchased at the old price to the cocoa farmer? Richard, if you go to university and you make a pass mark of 92%, that's a super A. Then suddenly, for convenience, you are telling us that, look, we should do this. I do not want to remind the cocoa farmer. There was a time in the history of this country, Prof, where cocoa went to over $10,000 per metric ton, 16 bags in 1 metric ton. You were supposed to give the cocoa farmer 10,000 Ghana cedis, minimum 9,000. You gave them a little over 3,000. We will not take competence, a lesson on competence and management of cocoa from your bunch of people. You got the opportunity and mess our cocoa farmers. No, we are not reducing it. Because you see, he speaks. Look, MPP, as with the gendarme, the lies, the deliberate falsehood. You didn't stop him. And you see, let me tell you something. As I speak right now, my learned colleague, Honorable Lawyer Kwejo Opon Nkrumah, Anodompre and Co. are in cocoa farms, polluting the minds of cocoa farms. Calm down. You are here telling me that, we should focus on what to do to better. That's what President Mahama is doing. But we have every responsibility to correct the misinformation. At the time, the president had the emergency cabinet meeting, and following from that, the announcement on the new cocoa pricing, 92% of what was required had been purchased and paid at the old price. True or false? That is the conversation. So when you introduce the concept of haircuts in this conversation, it's completely misleading, because it was only left with 50,000 metric tons to be purchased. Now, what is the MPP superior response? They say, President Mahama, go and borrow taxpayers' money and go and give it to cocoa farmers as a buffer. Now, you know the interesting part.
Okay, hold on.
Do you know the interesting part? With respect, if you go and borrow and give to the cocoa farmer, the poultry farmers are complaining that there is a glut. And so they want government to cushion the price for. The poultry farmers are also waiting for government to go and borrow and give it to them. The maize farmer in Sisala is also complaining that a bag of maize had moved from $800 to $380, $400. So President Mahama would have to go and borrow and provide the markup difference. You know, maize farmers, you know, tomato farmers, onion farmers, rice farmers.
1,000 to 450.
450. Nutiwo, on the floor of Parliament, alluded to. So by the time you finish, government would have been saddled with $1 billion of borrowed funds to give a happy ending to cocoa farmers. Now, you create a domino effect on other sectors of agric, which prudent, well thought out manager, which caring father will leave debt for future generations. I am not surprised at all that by the time your government left office, you move our public debt from 122 billion to 726.5 billion record. This is how you manage our economy. We will not make that mistake again, my brother Richard.
Okay.
So let the conversation be properly structured. It is not as though President Mahama started the crop season with this price. By the time this price came, 92% of cocoa that we're supposed to buy for the year, cocoa marketing company had already purchased and paid.
Okay, thank you.
Please stop it.
Those of us in
let me hear him.
industry, we are
I'll
not
come to you.
interested in the politics. In fact, participants in the industry, we are looking for solutions, not politicization of by both parties.
Do you see
understand?
solution in this value addition?
Cocoa, the concept of Cocoa Board was to ensure that there is stable incomes for cocoa farmers beyond the forest arrangement. But for those of us in the production, we think that our stable incomes are most important than any other thing.
Yeah.
And that is why within the arrangement there was a creation of a stabilization fund. That stabilization fund ought to have secured stable incomes for cocoa farmers. Unfortunately, various governments have also seen that as an avenue for resourcing government projects, have taken all these monies from the stabilization fund to do various things, including roads. This is where I see that the interest of cocoa farmer had gone into other projects unnecessarily, and to some extent that at times the industry itself doesn't have funds to support our projects, our production. So it must cease immediately. And in fact, if and when we get the world cocoa prices appreciating and we are creating excess of liquidity, let us recreate the stabilization fund so that it will support the forward march of in the industry.
Okay.
Number two is that the 50% value addition being proposed. The infrastructure is already in Ghana to process the 50% of the beans. Indeed, most of the processing companies cannot even get beans to process. So it is not that we need to create a new platform to process the beans. No, the platform is already there. It is the forward sales that will not allow the cocoa processing companies to have the access to the cocoa beans to process. So if we cannot eat our cake and have it. Let us find a time to stop the forward sales and rather divert those beans to the cocoa processing companies in Ghana. I tell you, the unfortunate situation is that all the cocoa processing companies that are public owned are making losses. At the same time, all the privately owned cocoa processing companies are making profits. Go to Barikal, go to Cargill. Edmond Poku came from US when he had just finished MBA. I worked with him in his business plan, and that company is making profits. His problem is that he cannot get cocoa beans. So it is not the case that...
Which company is that?
Oh, he's in the enclave. Edmond Poku.
All of them?
Yes, all of them. Their major problem is that they can't get cocoa beans. And then people are talking politics in the cocoa industry. Look, me personally, the problem that I face is lack of land to even expand cocoa farms.
And it's shrinking because
And
of
this is industry problem. And let me suggest something. In Brazil, cocoa is a forest product because you grow cocoa, it stays on the land for 20 years and above. In Ghana, it is not. So most of the forestry lands are there. We are planting teak. How much is teak? Teak, you grow teak for 14, 15, 18 years, and you harvest it once, and it is 100 cedis, 150, 200 the most. One cocoa plant will give you more than that money for one season. Yet we don't classify cocoa as a forest product, and therefore we cannot even have access to the land. And in fact, some of the lands that we have reclaimed under forestry could even go to add up to the cocoa processing, cocoa growing lands, but we cannot have access. You go to Forestry Commission, we want this reclaimed land to plant cocoa. They say it is not listed as a forest product. So just a definition of what constitutes forest product will free some land for cocoa growers. And this is happening in Brazil, not in Ghana. So we have to really look at what constitutes forest product and free some land. My brother, to maybe finish, there is also the need for collaboration amongst the farmers. Everybody in the cocoa sector thinks that we are all illiterates in cocoa industry. It is not the case.
Yes.
And that people who are talking cocoa don't know cocoa. People who are supposedly being managers of cocoa in cocoa industry, they don't know cocoa. They don't even understand our problems. So I think it is about time that cocoa farmers should come together, form strong associations, and some of the things that we think will do to help us, let us do it for our benefit. In fact, one of the problems we are facing now is that the buyers, also they form a cartel, and they decide how much cocoa should be bought in a season. And they create this artificial shortage of demand only to affect us. So if they are creating that demand creating the artificial shortage in demand to lower the prices, why can't we also as producers come together and also process the cocoa for export? Indeed, the chocolates that we are talking about in the foreign lands, these chocolates have other components that are not cocoa. And if we put our cocoa together and process our cocoa into chocolates, we will beat them in the international markets when we have finished products. So I think the cocoa industry, where participants must come together and also rethink cocoa and see how beneficial cocoa will be to us as industry players, rather than allowing politicians to even talk about.
Am I permitted to ask my senior just a question?
Yes,
just a question.
And I hope it is in cocoa, not in politics.
No, cocoa. Senior, what do you make of your colleagues, leading members of the MPP that you fully ascribe to?
I won't answer that
going
question.
through cocoa farms
I wouldn't answer that question. I
what do you make of
I am not interested in MPP or NDC in cocoa. I am talking as a cocoa farmer.
Senior, why?
I will not answer that question. It is irrelevant. I'm talking about...
When you ask Kufuor about Korea, he said he doesn't know.
It is not that I don't know, but I think that question is moot.
No, it's not moot. They are still in the cocoa farm.
No. I'm talking cocoa, and I'm talking as a cocoa farmer. I'm not talking as a politician. So, three things that are suggested that we must release land to the cocoa farmers. Indeed, it is not all the lands that will go to Galamsey. I know Galamsey is a challenge, but there are places where there is no record of minerals. And therefore, these lands could be given to cocoa farmers to expand our cocoa farms. And indeed, the cocoa beans, if we want to give the cocoa beans to the processors, they will also process. And above all, I'm also suggesting that some of us come together in the cocoa industry and create new enterprises that will process the cocoa and leave the politicians to talk their politics. Cocoa is for cocoa farmers. In fact, the benefits should go to the cocoa farmers more than anybody else.
Thank you. Nana Kwame Asante, Dr. Nana Kwame Asante, good morning. Kofi Bento referenced galamsey as a threat. Alfred, I can tell you that a number of the cocoa farmers I know are also now turning to cashew because cashew prices have gone up globally. And then sand winning is also one area that has been overlooked. Sand winning is also impacting on cocoa farms, especially in some parts of the Ashanti region. So it's not just galamsey alone. Doc, thank you very much for that. Prof, for example, this is the pictures we are seeing now, and the 28.6 percentage point drop in the price for Ghana in terms of cocoa farmers. But then again, look at that in Cote d'Ivoire.
No, you see, I just wanted to make a brief remark. Listening to my friend Richard Ahiagba and Eduji, and then also some of the interjections of Honorable Appiah. I think we were talking about how the U.S.-Iran conflict is going to impact on all of us as a people. That was what we were talking about, how we managed to allow Ahiagba to lure all of us into an area. I think we've been discussing.
Because of the diversification.
In fact, it was the diversification.
Well, but the point I want to make is that, you see, the very partisan move of trying to incite cocoa farmers against the government of the day for being rather proactive in not wanting to open the floodgates of excessive borrowing, in my view, is outmoded at best. A very scientific survey of the mood of cocoa farmers does not support this partisan way of trying to incite people against the government of the day. In my view, we have to be empathetic to the plight of cocoa farmers, and we must all support every intervention aimed at motivating them to produce more for the benefit and for the sake of all of us. But in doing this, we must be also encouraged to face realities. We must face realities, and no one, in my view, in this matter, should be allowed to be pretending to be crying more than the bereaved. Cocoa farmers of today are more elite and they are more literate than we think. Yeah. And so the idea of trying to confuse them, the idea of trying to be inciting them, and the idea of trying to wanting to cry more than the bereaved, in my view, should not be encouraged. If there's a national crisis, see, the role of the opposition, I taught this in level 100, poly 101. The opposition is not only there to be cynical and to be opposing. If it's a national crisis, elsewhere, the opposition is required to even undertake research with the view to proffering solution.
They have proffered solution. They say we should borrow. That's what they should.
Well, I mean, as to how we think the issues will be addressed, but to want to always incite and to always make government, trying to make government unpopular at all costs, I think does not help us in our quest towards nation building. And so, my friend Richard Anyagba, we see, propaganda has its own way of making you popular, but it also has its own way of making you look some way in the sight of discerning people. And I'm telling you that if you want to look at the psyche and of many Ghanaians, if you want to look at how Ghanaians now behave, many now are more discerning than we think. And so the more you think that we can confuse them with propaganda, the more they tell you that probably you are not taking them seriously. If things are being done, I mean, telling a government to continue on a tangent of borrowing, and like Eduji said, once you attend to the cocoa farmers in a manner being prescribed, rice farmers will come. Yeah. Poultry farmers will come. All others will come. And at the end of the day, will that be the best way of governing a country? I think that so far, this government has shown that Ghana can be governed well. And so we should allow us to govern the country as we are governing in a manner that is satisfying to the good people of Ghana. And yes, criticisms, constructive suggestions would have to be proffered, but not the ones that would send us back into the pit of borrowing that we are trying to lift ourselves from. I think those ones will not help. And so, but Honorable Appiah Kubi, I like your position that some of these things shouldn't be subjected to partisan discourse. And of course, I've always argued that excessive partisanship breeds political madness, because it is only during excessive partisanship that people that you require, you expect that they will look at this dispassionately, would suddenly be behaving like they are politically mad. But my view is that when a certain tangent was being followed by Richard, I was expecting you to say that, Richard, don't go there. You are not saying that. Then when Ediji came in, then you said, don't
give me responsibility that.
No, you know, Senior has now turned into Pontius Pilate.
So my point is that
he's only. But you see, my point is that your colleague MPP member, your subscription of the MPP ideology is not in doubt. And my point is that when your colleagues,
as a farmer.
Oh, okay. No, there may be. Maybe I didn't get that.
So my point is that I subscribe to your view that when there is a national crisis, okay, to the extent that it affects all of us, we must all rally behind the government of the day to help address the crisis. Yes, Professor Kwe, who taught me, was once telling me that, you see, governance, it's like a football. So when we are all playing the football on the football pitch, and then someone comes to take the ball and begin to run away with the ball, no, in the Yembobium, whatever, we will all have to stop playing and all rally together, chase the person, bring the ball back to the football pitch so that we can play. Even though when we're playing, we're opposed to each other. But when somebody gets onto the field to carry the ball away, we stop our differences and then follow the person, bring the ball back, and then we can go on with it. So my point is that some of these issues are matters that are national in nature, and they are matters that are affecting all of us. They don't affect NDC people and then leave MP people off the hook. They affect all of us. And so in trying to deal with them, can there be a certain patriotic or nationalistic way of commentary such that we all see that we all mean well? Like Honorable Appiah Kubi is doing, but unfortunately or fortunately, he's now saying that he's here as a farmer. Well, I agree with you that we have to be dispassionate on some of these things. But the point is also that so when somebody is going on a tangent that makes it look like we are being excessively partisan, then to the extent that you can heckle Ediji that he shouldn't go there, you should also be able to heckle that person. I mean, that's the point I want to say.
That's interparty.
You were doing that.
Interparty collaboration.
You see, because it touched on cocoa and crude oil, and then also we know the function and also the leverage that this administration has had on the rising gold prices.
Yes.
At least with what we've seen.
This is
at least for
Forex
2025, over 21 billion came in terms of the revenue from gold exports. And then also we've seen cocoa and then crude oil. But I want to find out this whole new direction, especially for cocoa. The 18 tons of gold were sold, and then now the buyback of it. Mr. Bento, quickly, on this particular picture we are seeing now in the policy direction that this administration is taking.
I remember the last time I was here, Ediji was here, when I mentioned it, he went, berserk on me. And the point was a matter of fact that we had 30 tons of gold, and in the twinkle of an eye, 18 tons had been sold. We were told about some wild, ideas that somebody had. Please, can I finish? It is wild.
Let him finish.
When you sell 18 tons of gold on a flip, it's wild. And let me tell you why it is important. Look.
Okay, hold on.
Please.
I'll come to you.
Please. Look,
thank you.
Alfred, look, this is very serious. Okay? What we all must appreciate is that we are a poor third world country. Okay? Now, this 18 tons of gold that somebody has sold, in the space of about a month, We are being told that we have to go and buy back that 18 tons of gold for a price of above $1 billion. Somebody made a wild decision that has cost this country over $1 billion. There is no sensible government anywhere in the world where somebody cost a poor country $1 billion and the person sits in their office. It is wild. All right? So, Martin, please, let's not play with some of these things. Look, wait, my point is this. Look, like I told you, when it comes to policy making, there's a priori, contemporaneous, and post facto. You don't know what you're going to see, but you're a thinking person. So you try something, okay? Somebody tries something, and then you get to a point where you are seeing better because you are in it. We expect you to do better. Now, since you are in charge, you claim that, oh, after everything that I've seen, the right thing to do is for me to sell this thing. You make a very quick decision. And by the way, serious decisions should not be made that quickly. When it comes to running poor people's money, running a country, you don't get up one day, make a decision the next day, and implement it the third day. Okay? You come up with an idea, it goes into caucuses, they go into meetings, you call experts, you have scenarios, you look at options, you go into cabinet, there are political aspects of it, financial aspects of it. You go gingerly, slowly, some of these things. But we have a situation where one day we wake up, somebody has sold 18 tons of gold. Then the next day we wake up, somebody has come up with a big deal, gun wrap. We are going to buy back our gold. And the cost difference is $1.something billion in a poor country. Today we are faced with situations where we have to find money to shore up and prevent the war from affecting fuel prices, etc. Where are we going to get our money from? And by the way, there is a theory that maybe they didn't even sell the gold. Because some of these in their paper transactions. Now, I don't subscribe to that theory, but if it's true that they didn't sell the gold, then somebody is doing a deal to get $1 billion. My point is this. We need some serious accounting for this thing. And please, this is the job of the opposition. This is why we have opposition in this country. I know a bill was placed in Parliament and there's some shuffling going around about it. Those of us in civil society, etc., we are not going to take this lying down. We can't wake up and lose $1 billion and just roll over and then make things look like business as usual. I call it wild and then Martin is trying to come after me. No, you can't do that. So please.
I just wanted you to decision. When I have my seat,
get the detail so that if you're responding to
Yeah.
why he holds that position, there will be clarity. Yes.
Yes. Now, we have a situation where some of the analysts, some of whom I know, very brilliant people, like Dr. Theo Achampo, they come up with an idea of gun wrap, that we need to build up our reserves, etc., that kind of thing. I don't have an argument with that. We have said so many years in this country that there's policy incoherence, and it's killing us across the years. And I can see that now. What were the analysts like Dr. Theo Achampo and co doing when we decided to sell the 18 tons of gold? And why did it happen so quickly? What was the view of the president? Whose idea was it? Who processed it? And what is going to happen to those people or that person who made the decision that is going to cost us over $1 billion? That cannot be just left to go anyhow. And my point is this. If somebody makes that decision or a group of people make that kind of decision, it is called a catastrophic failure. The person is either catastrophically incompetent or something else is driving that kind of decision. But here is the point. I am not even looking at the government per se. The government owes it to us to explain it to us, show us documentation on how that decision was processed and how we came to be where we were. But that job is the job of the opposition. So this is where I am holding Leader Afenyomakin and all the people there responsible that please ask the questions. You can't let $1 billion go to waste and not ask a question in Parliament. And if you ask a question and it's not being answered, stand your ground till it's answered. So please, I'm raving, I'm ranting about it because I think it's a serious matter. I pray that there are answers. If we get the answers, we'll be fine. But this must not be left alone.
In fact, before you even made that point, you all respond. You would all have your time. Gentlemen, hold on.
It's important that you see this negative narrative is quickly,
you would all have the time to respond. Yes. But even before you made this point, I think Masaudu, who works at the Finance Ministry, had already sent a message, but not in direct response.
Okay, good.
Not in direct response. So context is important. It says, this morning's conversation vindicates why forward-looking as you say, the Finance Ministry submitted to Parliament and secured parliamentary approval the Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy, GANRAP, which you referenced. This is clear, forward-looking policy thinking by a finance minister and a government that has been very proactive and alive to external shocks. That it was not in direct response to that point you made about the $1 billion loss.
Sorry, but it's very important because, like you said, we didn't. But if somebody comes up and says, we are going to do a gun wrap, how did that same government under that same finance minister, just a few weeks back, give up 18 tons of our gold and now loses $1 billion plus? Look, just 2 days ago, somebody in the US, the richest country ever on this planet, went to do an advert for $200 million and she has lost her job. All right? So we can't sit around here and let over $1 billion just go into waste.
So this is a message I read from Masaudu Mahama from the Finance Ministry.
Maybe.
Council.
Short. Short, because Kofi and I have been debating this like this is the 4th week. He keeps insisting. So let me give you a short response.
That's a short response. Hold on, gentlemen. Okay. Short response.
Yeah. So listen, Kofi. You see, I think what we are not being, what we are doing, and not being fair to the audience is that the governor, they released a statement saying that upon analysis, they saw that the gold we had made our reserves lopsided. We had too much gold compared to our peers, etc. So it was research they did. And so they said they would scale back. That's the central.
So why have they come to do gun wrap to go back to where we were?
No, it's not necessary to just go back there. This one is increasing reserves. What? Didn't you say 15 months?
Have you heard them say they are going to buy back the gold?
No, they didn't say buy back. They said they will increase. No, they said they will do 3 tons per week. So what you are just saying is that
it's not a buyback?
No, that's not necessary. They will ramp up because they are doing gun wrap. At the time they were selling, this is the governor.
What's the time interval?
Look, they didn't sell all. Very good. They didn't sell that in a few weeks. It was the whole of the year. Why would you just say they just came and sold everything in one fell swoop?
Find the time.
Find the time. I didn't bring the governor and his papers.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. I wanted that quick response, and then
I am particularly excited that my learned senior Kofi Bentos makes suggestion that if it's possible, there should even be an inquiry.
There should be.
Why not? It puts matters in proper perspective. And at the end of the day, I'm sure you will get the opportunity, like somebody did on the floor of Parliament, to apologize when they need to. On this platform, I see deliberate insinuations.
Yes.
Deliberate insinuation of wrongdoing. Deliberate insinuation that some people sat somewhere and put a scheme together. He makes that quickly and says, no, that's not what I want to say. And now dovetail the conversation into a loss of $1 billion. Please, let us not do this. First of all, the BOG decided to go, by way of management, go to the board, go to management to seek the approval. That approval was duly given. What was the conversation? 40% of our gross international reserve was kept in gold only. If you look at our peers, in terms of central banks, the peers, the average is 20%. And so once you do 40% in terms of your gross reserve, only in gold, you are exposed.
Exactly.
In the event of any unlikely fall, the pressure on you is always catastrophic. Prudence, dictated that the current managers will find a way of diversifying. It is not money lost. It is money moved into forex. To cushion the other side of the economy.
You learn finances.
And so when you introduce the concept, when you introduce the concept of loss, you create the impression of trading loss.
6 weeks.
There's no trading loss. It's diversification.
Yes.
You move the gold
Immunization.
to another end.
Yes.
To keep it as a secured something, a buffer for you.
How are we financing the difference in price?
Hold on. How is this a loss?
It is a loss because we are financing a difference in price.
No.
How are we financing the difference in price?
Two.
6 weeks.
As we speak, the major mining companies, this year by law, must retain a certain amount to the Bank of Ghana, which ramps up the number back to the existing 30.
Extra cost.
Please, what extra cost?
$1 billion of cost.
Please.
That's the mathematics.
This is your cost. You sat down and generated a cost.
No.
Creatively, hold on. Creatively.
Check the price we sold out. Check the price we priced.
No, I mean, at this point.
No, he's misleading the public.
No, what misleading? So
you are saying we're just buying
please.
There's an extra cost.
I am saying.
Let him.
Beginning of the show, I told you I will be intimidated on the show.
No. You are not intimidated.
Provide me the necessary buffer. Yes. So the point ought to be made. Why we decided that we'll go back and rebalance the numbers so that we'll be akin to our peers by way of central banking. 20% should be kept at that level. And that's basically what we've done. Now look at the economic benefit of having done this diversification. Our Ghana cedi may possibly today be trading at 17 Ghana cedi to $1. Can you imagine? Because we're a net importer. That's the record. We're a net importer. So any president or any government that allows our exchange rate to move as and when it likes will destroy this economy, will make living conditions difficult for our people. So it requires that a government that cares, a government that is forward-looking, will put in some of these interventions to ensure that we get the economy right. I have made this point. Globally, everybody is ramping up the number of gold accumulations and others. There's nothing wrong with it. Yes. Have we departed from that conversation? No. At the broader level, Government of Ghana, and thankfully has taken the policy document to Parliament. Do you know that in the past we've had to run policies without going to Parliament?
We complain about that.
Okay.
We did 8 years of free SHS without Parliament seeing a policy document. Today, thankfully, a group of people under an agenda for research have decided that a major policy like accumulation of gold to build 15 months of import cover requires parliamentary approval.
Right.
Those who had porous policy were not ready to face parliamentary scrutiny and never did. Today, there's a different leadership and different leadership response. That's what you should be applauding for.
All right, thank you.
But more importantly,
in a minute,
the gold, who was it sold, quote unquote, to? Citibank. Citibank is an international bank. First of all, you can't even bribe them because the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act in the U.S. would deal with you.
Oh, it has been suspended?
Please, too. No, he has not explicitly. He said he would. Two, as we speak, you can't do below-the-table transaction with Citibank. That's an international bank. The bulk of the gold went through that arena. What the current managers of the Bank of Ghana have done, by way of the forest intermediation, is that with the assistance of Gold Board, and you know, we've been able to ensure repatriation back into this country, $10 billion in a year. In the past, do you know the solution our friends had for this Eurobond? And that is why in 6 years, we did accumulatively $11 billion of Eurobond. If you add the Franklin Templeton $2.25 billion to rate, that is $13 billion of Eurobond in 6 years. In fact, the 7th year, we're going for additional $2 billion of Eurobond. The only thing is that the international rating agencies downgraded us, and therefore our bond became more expensive. And that is why we didn't do the 7th year. Guess what? The $11 billion of Eurobond, do you know how much we paid on interest? $2.8 billion. Interest payment alone. How much have we paid on the $10 billion forest repatriation into the country by Gold Board? That is the debt they claim Gold Board, the loss, 200. So you did $2.8 billion on $11 billion in 6 years. 214 loss is a problem for you.
Thank you.
I mean, where from this, the impunity?
Yeah.
Where from this? I will get
Thank you very much.
The audacity.
Thank you. Thank you.
When we gave the economy, this is how you run it now.
There are quite a number of you who have been commenting on this and a number of messages we've got. We'll get into a bit more of the conversation. Gentlemen, thank you. No, I have to do this quickly. Now, hold on. Whether you are aiming for a specialized MBA that is focused on the needs of industry now in marketing, communication, operations and supply chain, human resource management, finance, entrepreneurship and innovation, or business intelligence and analytics, or you want to advance through our dual MBA or chartered manager MBA, University Gold Coast, well, please, this is important for you. University of Gold Coast, that's a UGC, gives you options that match your vision. And if your next step is an MSc in International Relations, Communication and International Marketing, International Law, Security and Diplomacy, Accounting and Finance, or Human Resource Management, an LLM in International Law, Security and Diplomacy, or an MA in Biblical Studies and Practical Theology, the pathway is open. April admissions now open. Apply today. Because at University of Gold Coast, we make it practical, flexible learning, flexible entry, and flexible payment. Study around your work and life. Choose your route that fits your background and pay in convenient installments. Your dream deserves structure. Your future deserves strategy. Your purpose deserves training. And you have it at the University of Gold Coast. Call them on 054 288 9045, 054 288 9045, or 026 388 8555. That is 026 888 555. University of Gold Coast, building leaders for the nations. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Hi guys, we are getting married.
Really? Where?
Perfect Match Extra Season 3 Reunion.
It's Bognaya.
You are going to catch us live at the reunion.
March 7th, 2026. Red Carpet kicks off at 6 p.m. Streaming live on Adisa Plus. Then at 9 p.m., brace yourself for the drama, the confrontations, and the real story live on TV3 and Adisa Plus.
Catch us live for the final showdown.
Venue, Studio B. One night, no filters, all the answers.
So guys,
do not miss our wedding.
Perfect Match Extra is sponsored by Enapa Foods, Heaven Insecticide.
It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Komfornochi Source Site, Lake Bosumtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history at Sing Manso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast. Then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana City single, 5,500 Ghana City shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cities couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it. It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Komfornochi Source Site, Lake Bosumtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history at Sing Manso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast. Then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana City single, 5,500 Ghana City shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cities couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it.
Thank you. Welcome back. This is the key point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. Richard Ahiangba is still with us on Zoom. There's a quick response to some of it. Right. In fact, Mr. Bento, what you raised earlier. Yes. Mr. Ahiangba?
Alfred, this is not this shouldn't be a quick one. I have spoken collectively 15 minutes in a 3-hour or so show. That's not fair. Zoom has become part of things we do, so we should prioritize if people come in the studio. Let's give ample time. But you see, let me react to a few things Edu just said about the cocoa, and I'll end with the gold thing that Mr. Kofi Bentel has introduced, which I think is very, very important. You see, Edu tells us that it is only 50,000 that is going to suffer this. To a farmer, that is a lifetime of savings. If you do a differential of 1,030 times 16 bags times 50 metric tons, you are getting somewhere close to about 1 million, about 830 or so million cedis. That's how much farmers are losing if we're going by his logic of this is how much is affected. But that is that's not just simple. That is not just cocoa beans calculated in tons. That's people's livelihood. That's people's income. Something that if it is done to Eduji, he will not accept it. That if interest or his income will be shaped by that percentage, 28%, that's something that we need to look at. The NDC, since coming to office, have increased cocoa price collectively about on 2 occasions by 16% or so. Okay, but now they have gone ahead to cut it by 28%, which means that net they have reduced cocoa prices at the time they came to office about 3,100 Ghana cedis by 12%. You have not increased it, but you have decreased it more than you have increased it. That is a problem. That is a problem that we must look at. Now he talks about other crops. If they want to borrow money and then increase pay cocoa farmers, other poultry farmers will come. That's not true. That's not true. Cocoa is special. You have created a board who is a monopoly to whom only cocoa farmers can sell their products. So you don't treat cocoa like you are talking about other things. Cocoa is special. The promise you made to cocoa farmers that you pay them 3,625 is a sacred promise. That's why you have to find a means to pay them that promise. Look, Alfred, the last time when we did the DDEP, the NDC were in this country arguing that government bond was supposed to be the safest. Why is government bond safest? Because it's a promise that must be guaranteed, that must be paid.
Okay.
But when we got to a difficult point and we thought that not even the principal, just the interest was what we were trying to repackage so that we can get some debt relief room so this country can grow, can progress. They said no. Okay, but today, that debt relief, that DDEP is the benefits of all that we are seeing today in terms of debt to GDP ratio that they are touting around.
Okay.
If you have made a promise to farmers, I'm coming out after. If you have made a promise to farmers, promise by government must be kept, you must keep it. Because after, you know why? When we came into government in 2017, they made a promise to cocoa farmers, they'll pay them per bag 475. Even though prices went down when we came to office.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, because you introduced the cocoa conversation, and then we leveraged and spoke about the other aspect of it, right? And then also the other point you raised about the pricing that was being given to cocoa farmers. So I just wanted to put that in perspective. Yeah, Professor Jumbo, quickly, because
this discussion has dominated everything that we've done today. I thought we were going to be talking about independence.
It all dovetails into
yeah, but
indeed.
maybe because time is gone, maybe I'll just wrap up by just saying that, see, the advantages of how Ghana was competently and deliberately run down for 8 years. Listen to me carefully. The advantages of how Ghana was competently and deliberately run down for 8 years is that we have an experience that shapes our actions in saying never again. This government is guided by the experience of its predecessor. And so whatever it does through thinking. You may not, sitting on the fence, you may not appreciate the rationale for some of its intervention. But I'm telling you that, given where we have come from, we cannot afford to fail. And so rather than passing judgment and conclusion based on lack of information, ask, and you'll be given information and the rationale guiding, surrounding the implementation of certain policies may be made clear to you. It saddens my heart when people would want to pass judgment and make conclusion without finding out the rationale behind some of the interventions that are being put in place. I'm saying that we are minded by how we were run aground. And it is not the mantra And the resolve is never again. And whatever this government does, we are bound, we are guided by our past, how we're run down. And so we would not commit same mistakes. If you don't understand why certain things are being done, just ask and information will be given to you.
Well, there are a number of messages. This one here says that we must all understand, it says that the... Who's that? Oh, right. This one here says that the cocoa farmers' interest must be paramount in every conversation. I can understand the point that Apiakubi makes about the focus of all of this being on the cocoa farmer. We must also have a voice at the table. You said this one also here also says that there's a reason why the MPP is going to the various cocoa farms, as Richard Ahiagba referenced, is to let the cocoa farmers understand why the issues are playing out this way. It is incumbent on government as well to do same and let the cocoa farmers understand. I think Otukona, I think, is also going around. Yes. On the farm. So this one also here says, Kofi Asari says, Ahiagba has forgotten that government is about legislating a 70% gross FOB price as floor price to safeguard cocoa farmers, whether exported or sold locally. And Dr. Emmanuel Chum says, good morning. This conversation about gold trading laws that Kofi Bento referenced would need a finance minister in your studio, maybe. You says to throw more light on this. We need clarity, you'll say.
Agreed.
Thank you very much for your messages. There's a statement that came through while we're on the show from the Foreign Affairs Ministry regarding the conversation we're having this morning, earlier this morning. So I just want to read it and then we're done. The Minister of Foreign Affairs has, on behalf of the government of Ghana, formally lodged a protest with the United Nations following the attack on the Ghanaian battalion serving with the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, in southern Lebanon on 6th March, which left 2 Ghanaian soldiers seriously injured. In the March 6, 2026 protest addressed to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the government of Ghana has called for a full, immediate and impartial and transparent investigation into the circumstances surrounding the attack on personnel deployed in the service of international peace and security. Ghana strongly condemns this attack and has further demanded that these persons responsible be identified and held accountable, as the attack constitutes a grave violation of international law, amounts to war crime, and affronts the protections afforded to United Nations peacekeeping personnel. The government of Ghana has further urged the United Nations to take all necessary measures to ensure the safety and security of members of the Ghanaian contingent serving with UNIFIL, as well as all personnel serving under the mission who, at great personal risk, make daily sacrifices in the service of humanity. Concludes that Ghana reaffirms its unwavering and long-standing commitment to United Nations peacekeeping operations and underscores that the safety and protection of peacekeeping personnel must remain paramount in the collective effort to maintain international peace and security. You can find a full complement of this on 3news.com. Gentlemen, truly appreciate it.
Statement by the Iranian president that they will cease attacking their neighbors and others, I think is assuring. Unless they are directly attacked from them, it's quite assuring. I think we need that.
There is no formula to war.
Thank you.
Let's brace ourselves.
Olamachi Bebo, thank you. Apiakubi, thank you. Mr. thank you. Lawyer Edujita Makro, thank you. Prof, thank you so much. Mr. Ayamba, thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you. Truly appreciate your time. And we are back again next week. Have a great weekend.
Hi guys, we are getting married.
Really? Where?
Perfect Match Extra Season 3 Reunion.
It's Bagnaya.
You are going to catch us live at the reunion.
March 7th, 2026. Red Carpet kicks off at 6 p.m. Streaming live on Adisa Plus. Then at 9 p.m. brace yourself for the drama, the confrontations, and the real story live on TV3 and Adisa Plus.
Catch us live for the final showdown.
Venue, Studio B. One night, no filters, all the answers.
So guys,
Do not miss our wedding.
Perfect Match Extra is sponsored by Enapa Foods.